How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Out of Order Show. My name, as always, is Michael, aka the local boy, aka I'm trying not to scream at the top of my lungs because of how excited I freaking am about what I'm about to watch. So, little context. I, unfortunately, did not. I wasn't able to catch a lot of the live stream. It was pretty rough. I was working all day Saturday, and then Sunday was Mother's Day, so I didn't feel like I needed to stream in order to I feel like it would have just been a detriment to my fans and my audience and all that jazz. So, here we are now. We are going to be finally checking out the PAX East showcase. And I'm just ready, man. I'm so ready. I'm just waiting for the ads to clear. But this is all like there's like a certain level of like I'm looking at my fantasy critic for this year video game wise, and let me tell you, I'm not looking forward to a lot. Like, honestly, the Switch 2 is probably the only real thing I'm excited for. I mean, I want to be excited for Bloodborne 2, but it's not going to be good. I can feel it in my loins that it's not going to be good. And, yeah, just... What else? What else can what can I honestly say? I've been waiting for this shit for a year when they announced it. I've been playing Magic for a while now, not a lot. I'm not like Command Knights and Tolarian Community College. I haven't invested, years into the craft. I have played since Lorwyn. I really got into Ravnica Block, the first Ravnica, and I'm not trying to be like I'm an OG because there's way more OGs than me, but I'm the problem. I know I'm the problem. I'm the problem. What is happening in Magic right now, Universes Beyond, Secret Layers, I'm the problem. I'm the problem. More. It's all just Secret Layers. It's all I'm the problem. And there was a come to Jesus moment where I was like, man, I don't know if I want to be doing this anymore. I don't know if this is going I don't know if this is going to be I don't even know if I'm having fun with Magic. At this point, they're just... And then Final Fantasy. And... Wizard Coast can do no wrong. It's glorious. And we're about to see how freaking amazing this block is going to be. I'm so excited. I just wanna we're just gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it right now. But let me just say that this is the reason why the collective group of my friends and I have spent like almost $6,000 on this set. I don't even know exactly what is in this set. It's $6,000, bro. It's $6,000. What? What do you mean? What do you mean 8,000? What do you they were all sold out. Where's it? But they're all sold out. Where is more? How did you find more? I barely picked up a booster playback. Where did you find more? There was more? Josh, we can't know. Oh my God. Are you getting 2 collector boosters? Okay. Let's switch it over. Oh my God. Let's switch it over, shall we? Okay, so I don't know any. I saw. Okay, I've tried, chat. I've tried for the last like couple days. I don't know everything. There's just some things that could not escape my feed, or I couldn't resist. But I feel like every time I think about it, I still have a genuine reaction to it. So let us, and we're gonna do more than just this live react, because apparently today they released the commander deck list for the 4 commanders. So we're gonna go over those. There's new mechanics that they've introduced. And then what is this? Hello? What is this? This is important things you need to know. Okay, so I saw some crazy shit there. Okay. So, without further ado, let's watch this. Hour and 22 minutes.
セットにおいてはスクエニックス側のプロデューサーをしております。いよいよデビューショーケースが始まりますね。ずっとこの瞬間が訪れることを心待ちにしていました。まず最初に一言だけ言わせてください。本セットを期待や情熱を持って心待ちにしてくださった全ての方へ本当にありがとうございます。マジック、そしてファイナルファンタジーに愛を注いでくださった全ての皆様のおかげで今日という特別な日を迎えることができました。昨年10月の先行公開映像、今年2月のファーストルックとここまで長い旅路を共に歩んできましたが、ついに本日さらなる情報を皆様にお届けいたします。このセットはマジックとファイナルファンタジーを愛し続け、お互いが真剣に向かい続けたからこそこの素晴らしい形にできたものだと思っています。今回でファイナルファンタジーシリーズに初めて触れるマジックファンの皆様、このセットに登場するカードたちはファイナルファンタジーのストーリーやキャラクターらしさをしっかりと捉えた上でマジックのルールの中で再構築されています。たとえファイナルファンタジーを知らなくてもマジックでの冒険をお楽しみいただけるはずです。そしてマジックに初めて触れるというファイナルファンタジーファンの皆様、プレイされたことがない方は RPG でパーティーを組むイメージをしてください。マジックにおけるデッキは RPG のパーティーと同じで、ちょっと工夫を凝らすだけでどんな相手にも有効な戦術を見出すことができます。ぜひお近くの店舗などに足を運んでみてください。きっとお気に入りの1枚が見つかるはずです。そして最後は私のような両方のゲームを愛する方へ、もうすぐ私たちが夢に見た瞬間が訪れます。皆様大変お待たせいたしました。 It's showtime! Let's step into the world of Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy!
Final Fantasy!
Okay, it's time to meet the team. He's a principal game designer on Magic the Gathering. You might know him best as the host of Good Morning Magic. He's also been the lead designer on sets like Battle Bond, Mystery Booster, and most recently of all, oh yes, Final Fantasy. He is Gavin Verhey!
Fucking Gavin. Actually, what is this? It's, hold on. Oh, it's only 1080? Oh, man, that sucks.
Thank you. Gavin,
no 4K?
what's your favorite Final Fantasy?
Well, that would be Final Fantasy 9. Whoa.
Ugh.
Some true fans in the house out here tonight.
Ugh.
The war starts here.
Ugh.
Okay.
No wonder I don't
like
like Gavin.
Is known for his work as the product
Awful
architect
taste.
of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Universes Beyond Fallout, Universes Beyond Assassin's Creed, and Bloomburrow. He is also the executive producer of Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy. He is the one and only Zakiel Gordon.
Zakiel. That shirt, I want that shirt. There was like a collab shirt that I really wanted to buy, but they didn't have my
I actually
size.
think, there we go, we're good. What's your favorite Final Fantasy?
My favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy X.
Oh. Did
Controversial hot take. In fact, I want to show it real
Final
quick.
Fantasy X get a bigger...
Hold on. So IGN, where is it? IGN just put out their top 25 RPGs of all time. Where is it? And they went. Is it? No. Where is it? Where is? They just put it out. I saw it not just a few minutes ago. Come on. Oh my god. Maybe if I just type in search. Oh, that's not gonna be it. Let's see. What if I just go to their Twitter? Hold on, chat. Sorry. I gotta scour this. Because they, like I said, they just put out a very controversial, like, and it was controversial, but not, it wasn't awful. I was like, oh, I guess, because they had a specific rule set when it came, there it is, top RPGs, JRPGs of all time. So, oh, what? There's no, it's a video? See, is there an article? There's no article? Okay, so I guess I'll just there's just the video, but I thought it was an article as well. So the guidelines of this article, or the guidelines to this RPG top 100 list, was that there couldn't be a franchise repeat. So that means you couldn't have like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 1. Like, everything had to be one of the series. So that so Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. So that means no other Shin Megami Tensei was on this list. Same thing with Breath of Fire, which Breath of Fire 3 kind of breaking top 25. Pretty impressive. So, Kingdom Hearts 2, I agree. Xenogears, that is like crazy to me, because out of all the Xeno games, I guess they are different games, because Xenoblade does make it on this list. But like, I guess Xenosaga, Xenogears, and Xenoblade are separate games, but they are connected loosely. I don't know. Grandia 2. Suikoden 2, I'm not much of a Suikoden fan, but the number one, like the fact that like Final Fantasy 10 over 7 and 6, I kind of respect it. I kind of respect that pick, because if you think about it, like Final Fantasy 6 for the old heads is like a miracle. It's like it's not even it's just one of the best stories, the best battle systems. But then you get into like the new gen, right? The Final Fantasy 7 where people were like that was that was baby's first RPG. It broke the mainstead because of the powerhouse of the PlayStation audience, right? Going from Nintendo to Sony was kind of like a wow, what the heck? And then 8 and 9, kind of like it's unique in its own way, but like 10, I feel like the PlayStation 2 era was such a bastion of role playing it, JRPGs specifically. And the fact that like 10 came out of that, like 10 was the best that came out of that generation. Better than 11, the MMO. Definitely better than 12, which is the Gambit bullshit system, even after they did Zodiac Age and tried to turn it to like a job system with the Gambit. And then we didn't get a new Final Fantasy until Final Fantasy 13, which came on PlayStation 3 360 era. So like, to me, Final Fantasy 10, because of the presentation, opening soundtrack, like like it's such a like the opening is just so crazy. You got that was like HD graphics for the first time, voice acting for the very first time in like a Final Fantasy game. I kind of respect it to be. I honestly like, as far if we're just doing influence, if we're just looking at the influence, the impact of this game, excuse me, of Final Fantasy X, it definitely was up there as far as like the impact, the staying power, the actual story itself, the system, like the fact that it was like everybody's in your party and like you could switch out in real time, and the summons, and then the grids, the sphere system. It was a really like it just was like, it's like the buffet of the Final Fantasies, in my opinion, because it's like it gives you everything, but it also makes everybody feel unique until endgame. And when you get to endgame, then it doesn't really matter. Like everybody, like Tidus can become like a white mage and start doing Yuffie like casting spells, but there's still uniqueness to each character. And like Blitzball and like the monster hunting, and I honestly think that like this being number 3 over, let's say, like obviously I would pick Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 7, which has, like I said, has all that, but 10 just presents it better, kind of presents it in a more modern age. And so like you can play 10, and obviously 10 kind of has its quirks, but it's like it's definitely, it hasn't soured. Like I would say that Final Fantasy 6 is timeless, and Final Fantasy 7 is hard to play because of the pixel, like the square blockiness of it all. But I don't know. 10 is kind of timeless because it has the voice acting, it has the great music, it has everything that a modern Final Fantasy has, and it was kind of like the stepping stone for modern Final Fantasy. So, but then the GOAT, obviously, these top 5, I've only played 3 out of the 5, but I bet Xenoblade Chronicles 3 I've heard is like fantastic, and then Metaphor ReFantazio I've heard is also the GOAT. So those are definitely 2 games I definitely want to play. Still gonna do my Xeno playthrough. We're still working on Xenogears right now, but I just wanted to let y'all see that, because what we're about to see, just they're gonna be talking about Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy type things, and I just found it funny that 10 was the one Final Fantasy that IGN picked, and I actually kind of respect that pick because they do honor the GOAT, which is Chrono Trigger. It's no question. That game is the miracle game. That game is the dream team. That game can only be replicated, not duplicated. And the fact that there are like a handful of games that are like pay homage, but haven't even like broke the mold hasn't even like Sea of Stars and Sonora are these Chrono Trigger-esque inspired games, but the fact that they've never actually met or matched the power that is Chrono Trigger, and that's why it's the GOAT to this day. Like, music, battle system, story, replayability, everything about it is the GOAT. All right. And if they drop a fucking secret layer of Chrono Trigger, I'm gonna lose my mind.
A shout out than Final Fantasy 9. Can I hear my 9 fans again? Can I hear my 9 fans? Can I hear my 10 fans? That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. Okay.
That's crazy.
Next up, he's a senior game designer of Magic the Gathering, probably best known for his work on Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. He is also responsible for mechanical frame and icon design across all sets. He is the lead game designer for Final Fantasy Commander decks. He is Daniel Holt.
Daniel Holt.
What's up, Kupo?
Kupo! Let me know if I'm coming in loud or if this is louder.
Here we go, the big question. Everyone's waiting for it. What is your favorite Final Fantasy?
It's gonna
Light
be
as a Kill. It is Final Fantasy X-2. That is 10, 2.
N2. Okay. Okay.
Girls Trip for life, baby.
Girls Trip for
Right,
life.
here we go. He's principal narrative game designer for Universes Beyond creative team. He's worked on Fallout Commander decks, leads the upcoming Avatar The Last Airbender set, and was the narrative lead for Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy. It's Dylan Devaney for Final Fantasy.
I'm ready to tell you that my personal favorite Final Fantasy game is none other than Final Fantasy IV.
Really?
Yeah, look at that! I love it!
Okay.
That's
Okay.
right!
Brave.
A lot of old school connoisseurs just got very excited there.
Brave.
So, here we are at the start of our journey. Final Fantasy I. The Magna Carta of video games, something that quite literally changed the landscape of gaming forever. Dylan, tell us the story.
I wonder if he's a fan of Rydia.
When darkness veils the world, 4 warriors of light shall come. This is the beginning of the genre-defining game that started it all. Final Fantasy I features the prophesized warriors of light as they embark.
Which, by the way, the reason why it was called Final Fantasy was because Sakaguchi didn't know if he was going to work on another video game again, and that's why he called it Final Fantasy.
On this adventure across time and space. Right, as the player, you can select from
that's how it goes.
4 of 6 possible jobs to become your Warriors of Light. And your first deadly challenge as the Warriors of Light are to take on none other than Garland, Knight of Cornelia.
Garland. Or, according to the lore, Jack. Hell.
Garland is keen to knock you down. The 4 Warriors of Light are triumphant, and they defeat their first adversary. But they incidentally create a paradoxical time loop that puts them in the deadly foes of none other than Chaos.
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 This game lays the foundation for many of the iconic elements we're going to see across all of the 16 mainline games. Things like prophecies and crystals, the job system, overworld exploration, random encounters, leveling up, high-stakes adventures, airships, you name it. This is where we firmly plant our foot and decide this is what Final Fantasy is going to become.
Okay.
So, Gavin. Jobs and classes. How did you do that?
Yeah, we knew from the very beginning we needed to have a way to show off the jobs of Final Fantasy. And we talked about it for a long time.
Job select. When this equips, enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero token and attach it. Equip character goes +1/+. Whenever the creature attacks, gain 1 life. It is a cleric in addition to other types. Job select. When this equip, enters, create a 1/1 colorless hero token, then attach it. It's +1/+0 and has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature does 1 damage to each opponent. It is a wizard in addition to this other type.
Time and came up with the idea of a brand new mechanic that looks a little like an older mechanic called the job select. So this shows up on equipment throughout the set, And when the equipment comes into play, you make a 1/1 hero token, and then you attach the equipment to it. So if you know Magic, you might recognize this as, say, Living Weapon, or for Mirrodin, Living Weapon makes 0 0s, for Mirrodin makes 2 2s. There's a number between those two, which is 1/1. So we went for that here. Now, they all confer abilities, as you can see, that are really keen to what the class is doing. The White Mage Staff heals you, the Black Mage's Rod pings your opponent. But the other thing that's worth calling out in particular is they also confer the type that class or job has. So the White Mage's Staff turns you into a Cleric, the Black Mage's Rod turns you into a Wizard, and so on. Just has a little flavor nod happening right there. Okay. We grabbed all the job select cards in this set from Final Fantasy I and Final Fantasy XIV, which you might see some of later.
Oh, what a tease.
Nice.
Thank you, all four of you, but I do believe it is time to meet the last member of our panel. She is an art director on Magic the Gathering. She's worked on Universes Beyond sets such as Assassin's Creed, Doctor Who, and, of course, Final Fantasy. Joining us on video, it's Stephanie Chung.
Hey, PAX East. I'm so excited to share our next card with you. Long before I ever played my first game in the Final Fantasy series, I was already obsessed with their iconic character designs. It was influence on my own journey as an artist and deepened my love for video games. So I think you'll all agree that it wouldn't be Final Fantasy if we didn't include art from the legendary Yoshitaka Amano. And what better way to celebrate his influence and incredible talent than his original Cloud Sea Djinn. This incredible piece is featured in a showcase frame you've seen before. The transparent frame allows us to show off the art with minimal distractions from mechanics and text. You can really immerse yourself and truly appreciate the details of Amano's mark making and masterful washes of ink.
It produces 3 of that times.
This piece is a great example of his iconic style, especially with the incredible way he balances negative space. From the pale clouds contrasting the dark figure of the Djinn, to the flow of details from the Djinn's hand, cascading around the party and spilling into the clouds around them. The card also isn't anything to sneeze at. Nyx Bloom Ancient is a flashy card that is a dream for any Stompy deck.
Thank you. We are going to be hearing from Stephanie throughout the show, and now we are underway. We are done with 1. Let's move on to Final Fantasy 2. This is a more high fantasy, expanding and iterating on the ideas that were laid down in 1, without many radical changes. Sakil, take us through this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Final Fantasy 2 is tonally very similar in creative tone. The main difference lies in a game mechanic called Weapon Skill, which is based on your proficiency as you yield weapons in battle and gain experience throughout the game. So it only makes sense for the main character of Final Fantasy II, Firion, to interact with equipment. So let's take a look. Firion is a 3-mana 3/3 that equipped creatures you control have haste, and whenever another equipment comes into the battlefield, you create a copy of that, and it has the ability to cost 2 less to equip. So we just showed you White Mage's Rod. If you have this in play and cast that, not only do you get another copy of that equipment, but you also get another 1/1 hero. And then similarly, the next card on our Final Fantasy Through the Ages bonus sheet is SRAM. Red-White, of course, is a prolific archetype within Magic, all revolving around equipment, and we think this is a brand new way to be able to collect
cast an aura equipment or vehicles
artwork by Yoshitaka Amano and play both of these copies of Firion alongside each other on the battlefield.
Thank you very much, and also thank you for everyone here right now who's oohing and ahhing in exactly the right places. It really validates all their work. So thank you so much. I am eager to see more cards, and it's written down here. It says, I am as eager as a beaver. Gavin, explain yourself.
Commune with beavers.
All right, so I want to give a big shout out to Yanni Skalnick, who led the early vision design of the set. And when he handed it off to me, there's a card in there called Commune with Beavers. And I was like, Yanni, you got to tell me what's going on with this card. And he told me the story about talking with beavers, get the information that you need. And I was like, we have to preserve this. So it stayed the whole way through the entire life cycle of this set. Now, to me, this is a great blending of Magic and Final Fantasy, because a Commune spell in Magic looks at your top few cards for a card, and so it kind of blends the flavor of Final Fantasy, the name Commune with Beavers, with a Magic effect, where, of course, it looks at your top few cards for a beaver or any other creature you might want to have around. So just a simple little common, but kind of gets at the whimsy that Final Fantasy has, right? There's a lot of epic fights and incredible monsters, and also, sometimes just guy speaks beaver, you know? And that's the important part of this moment here on this card.
I like to think that we all speak Beaver. Moving swiftly on. We're moving on from 2 to, guess what, number 3. Final Fantasy III. It's worth remembering that both 2 and 3 didn't release in the US until years later. But there is one thing that kind of remains true, which is the defining iconography of the crystals. Dylan, walk us through this.
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought up crystals, right? We're going to talk about crystals a lot throughout the show, and it is a signature element of Final Fantasy.
The
in
darkness
Final Fantasy
crystal.
3, our characters are going to go on a journey, the Onion Knights that become the Warriors of Light, go on a journey to bring balance to the elemental crystals across the land, just as the Golgan people prophesied. And so we were talking about how we were going to bring this element
Black
into
spells
Magic
cost
the
one
Gathering,
less.
and we decided
Hold on.
that, well,
Black spells cost 1 less to cast if a non-token creature an opponent controls would die. Instead, exile it and you gain 2 life. 4 colorless, 2 black. Tap. Put target creature card exiled with the darkness crystal into the battlefield. Tap under your control with an additional +1. Oh my god!
there's
That's
4
sick.
elemental crystals, and there are the dark crystals in the malevolent world of darkness. Perhaps we smell a cycle. So let's take a little bit more look at the darkness crystal. Daniel, I want to hear about the tiny crystal we see here.
Yeah, as Dylan mentioned, crystals are so prominent within Final Fantasy that
Oh
it
my
only
God.
made sense when working on the set symbol that was the first spot we went. You'll see the Chocobo later in Commander. We'll talk about that when we get there. But you can see this rarity symbol here is the crystal. Gavin, you want to talk about the card?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as was mentioned earlier, well, there's the nice booster fun version. And by the way, what I was about to say, there's 5 crystals in the set, 1 for each color, and they all have a cool booster fun version like this you can go collect. Now, they are a 5-card cycle, 1 for each color. They all cost 4 mana. They're all legendary artifacts. They all make spells of that color cost 1 less. But the rest of them is a little unique depending on what that crystal does. They've got a big activated ability of some kind, a cool static ability. I'll let all of you start speculating now. But the crystals, you're going to want to try and get all of them on your side.
So, Gavin, earlier you mentioned starting towns. I believe right now you have a new land to show us.
Yeah,
Adventure
absolutely.
Inc.
So, of course, if you're playing Final Fantasy, there's, once again, these huge, epic battles, but you also want some simple little concepts, especially at Common, like
Gain
this
2 life.
Adventurer's Inn. So, this
that's
is a
so
brand new
cute.
land subtype.
200
This is
gil.
a town. You'll find towns all throughout the set in Final Fantasy, the many
my
places and locations that you end up at. If you've played Ravnica before, it's kind of like Gates, where there are some cards that key into what towns do. It doesn't have any inherent meaning. And there's a lot of lands ranging from simple commons all the way up to rares, and maybe, just maybe, we might see a rare one later on. But here you go, a nice little Adventurer's Inn.
No mythic
Of course, what would
lands?
an inn do? But give you back a couple life. Take a nice rest. If you've got the money for it, get those 2 life.
So that's a lovely little taste of Final Fantasy III. Let's move on to Final Fantasy IV. Dylan, you have been waiting for this moment.
Yes, I have. Thank you also. I really love that, and I needed that, so thank you. So yes, I would love to talk about my personal favorite, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy IV holds a very, very special place in my heart because I think it was the first time I really discovered what narrative game design was and the power of the medium when I was very, very young on my Super Nintendo. The journey that Cecil goes through, starting as a Dark Knight, wielding very wicked power in service to the potentially corrupt King of Baron. He goes on this journey of redemption to become a paladin of light. And we were talking about this story, and I was telling Gavin, I was like, listen, this story meant a lot to me because in the game, right, you have this amazing Dark Knight sprite, you go to Mount Ordeals, you claim your sword, and you become a paladin, and then you have to fight yourself in this 1v1 battle to come to terms with your darkness, slay your inner evils, and truly become a paladin. And so this story was so important to me personally. It's something that made me fall in love with Final Fantasy, and it was a story that we, I think, did a pretty good job of.
Yeah, and
good job. Pretty good
we
job.
brought the story to life. We're trying to figure out how to tell this story, and one of the tools we have in this set are double-sided cards, right? So you see these double-faced cards here with Cecil, where he starts off as the Dark Knight and then transforms into the Redeemed Paladin. Final Fantasy has so many moments for villains and heroes alike where they undergo these great transformations, and there's several double-faced cards in the set that do just that, where you get to see the characters evolve before your very eyes. And also on screen here, you'll see that gorgeous Booster Fun version of Cecil, which is really, really, really neat. And I'm so glad we were able to capture this. I was inspired by Death's Shadow, if any of you Magic players out there know that card. to make a card that dealt damage to you, and then eventually it flips over to be a 4/4 lifelinker and start gaining that life right on back. But Cecil is not the only card.
Hey.
I love everyone here so much.
Cecil is not the only card that we wanted to design from Final Fantasy IV, and a character that posed a lot of trouble for me was Kain. I kept trying to design Kain. I could not figure out how to do it. And then one day, Dylan sends me something.
Okay.
I was like, Gavin, I don't want to snoop in. I don't want to step on your toes, but I really like this game. I really like this character. I have a pitch that I'm going to send you. And he was very nice enough to read it. He went over it. And he looked at me and he was like, yeah, let's
Jump. During your turn, Kain has flying. Whenever Kain deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of Kain. If they do, you draw that many cards, create that many tap treasure tokens, then lose that much life.
to do it. And so we kind of moved forward to trying to capture one of Kain's most complicated story elements. If you are a fan of this game, or if you've played this game, you felt the same heartbreak and betrayal that I did when you went up into that boss battle and you're like, wait, what do you mean he left my party? What do you mean he's fighting for Golbez? Where is he going? And so we wanted to capture that sense at the table when you play it. So I had this idea, maybe he defects, maybe he passes around. There is the story of the treasure tokens being the crystals you're collecting. I was very happy with it, and Gavin was kind enough to link it into the rest of the file.
I hope there's a different
which I'm
version
very
of Kain.
appreciative, by the way.
I
hope
wanna
there's
call
another
out,
version
This
of
is
Kain.
Dylan's first ever Magic card published, so big hand for Dylan right here.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
His childhood favorite character as a card. That's pretty cool.
Right, let's move on. It's time for Final Fantasy V. And whilst we do, Okay, good for you.
Good for you.
That's nice. Not many, but good for you.
No, that's so
As we head
mean.
on to Final Fantasy V, obviously a very, very beloved game, I want us to take a step back and figure out, well, explain to us how you arrived at the overall shape of this set.
Yeah, so that's a monumental question and a very good one of how did we fit 16 Final Fantasy
Is this
games
live?
into
No,
one
Dan the
set.
Goomba, this is-
there are
this
a lot
was,
of characters, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of
This was Saturday, and yes, it was Saturday. This past Saturday at PAX East. I was at work when this was live, so I didn't want to. By the time I was finished with my work on Saturday, it was pretty late in the day, and I was pretty exhausted. And then I didn't want to restream this on Sunday because Sunday was Mother's Day. So we're here Monday. It's a late Monday night. We're checking it out.
games, magic, spells, items, abilities, lands, adventures, quests, mini games, songs, and how do we put it all into one thing? We needed something early on to help make decisions.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine the four of us in a room at the Wizards of the Coast office with a locked door, we made a conspiracy board on the
Yeah,
wall.
no problem.
We opened up an Excel sheet. We got the whiteboard and we wrote down every game and we just said, okay, what do you remember about Final Fantasy I? Go way back in the archives, go deep in the tank. What do you remember loving about this game? And we did that for 2, 3, all the way up for every single game. And then when we were done with that, weeks later, we went to our fellow wizards in the office. I asked everyone the same intense line of questioning. And then when we were done with that, weeks later, we went to Square Enix and we talked to the game producers and the designers and the developers, and we were like, what were you very proud of
Hopefully
with your game?
you're not
What is
disappointed.
very special about the
If
title
you-
that you worked on?
if this is,
What
like,
the
new to
thing that
you,
would
then
want
if
everyone
this
to
is
see
new to me as
once
well, I haven't
again?
seen
And once
anything
we
like
had
this.
all of that, we were able to
I have
start
seen some stuff
our
on
process. So
on
from
Twitter,
there, we kind of made this internal tier system, tiers 1, 2,
because
and
it was
3
hard
to help
not
us make
to
decisions.
see.
These
It
weren't
was like all
oh,
over
these
my
are the
feed,
best, and these
especially
are the
with the
worst. These
people
are
and
just,
type of
we need
content
to
that I
make
consume.
some decisions along the way.
there's
some
some stuff
characters
that
will be here, some
but I haven't
characters won't be here.
looked
So
in
tier
at in
1,
great
we
detail
decided
yet.
was
So
these are the things that have to
I'm
be here.
like,
These are the
this
DNA
is like
of
my-
Final Fantasy. So
my
chocobos,
fresh
Moogles, they
look at
absolutely have to be
the
there. You
panel.
expect to see them, so you're gonna see them. Tier 2 are the, hey, if you're a fan of a very specific game, you're gonna recognize that. Maybe it's an iconic mini game, or an NPC that you really fell in love with, or a super boss you spend many hours losing against, like me. And then Tier 3 was the super duper crunchy deep cut. This is for the nerds. No way you spent time and money to get that in. Yes, we did. We had to do that. And so I really look forward to all of you, and I challenge all of you to go through and find the Tier 3s that we snuck in there across the set.
Okay then, Dylan.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Which
Gilgamesh?
tier is this cheeky boy in?
Gilgamesh is clearly the top tier. This is a recurring villain who plays kind of the comic relief in the game. He has a passion for weapons, and that's exactly what his card does. It's a Titanic ability. If you're familiar with Magic, a Titan ability is enters and attacks. He searches for those equipment. He looks at the top 6 cards of your library, gets all of those equipment onto the battlefield. And then you pick one of them, it keeps going. One of them goes for free onto any samurai you control, whether it's from Kamigawa, whether it's Gilgamesh himself, snaps onto that samurai and gets to fighting.
Thank you so much, the Ooze. Again, they make us feel great. Right, Zakil, our next card you're going to take us through showcases the depth of the worlds you get to play in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Universes Beyond program, one of my favorite things is we get to tailor each set based on the IP and audience that we're working with. So our language to you as Magic players and as Final Fantasy fans is through the lens of design. Now, internally, we have this thing called a complexity dial that kind of goes from 1 to 5, with 1 being kind of our intro level products and 5 being our more complex products like a Horizon set. Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy is a little bit higher on that dial, specifically because you all, as video game players and specifically RPG fans, already innately understand a lot of aspects of game development. We don't have to explain the idea of health or mana or damage or items or party configuration or the difference between a glass cannon versus a tank. So internally, we just really had the rule of cool to make sure that we made the best versions of each character, went through Magic's archives to bring back all of the most awesome mechanics that pay off
the best
all of your favorite moments.
The rule
so
cool.
The best example of that is in Bartz and Boko.
Boko!
And Bartz and Boko have a very interesting ability. And that is Affinity for Birds. So Affinity is a long-time Magic mechanic that has been around for more than 20 years. And this is a way in which we're able to build specific themed decks within the set to encourage you to play. Perhaps there is a Chocobo deck that you can build from the set. And then when they come into play, each other bird you control deals damage to your opponents, which we think will be pretty fun and limited.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta say, in our internal testing, I was always on Team Birds. I love the standard. You can take like your Bloomborough birds and your Chocobos and put them together to make a cool deck. So count me in as a bird fan. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Just as a vibe check. Have
Go
we got
Birds.
any bird fans in the audience? I like you so much. Okay.
Cheeky.
Moving on. Final Fantasy VI.
That was pretty quiet. That was pretty quiet.
I said, sorry, I don't think you heard me. I said Final Fantasy VI.
I think I might cry. Hold on to your butts.
Daniel.
Hold on to your butts.
Final Fantasy VI is the first of 4 games that have Commander decks. Is that correct?
That's true. We get to talk about Commander. This is the first of 4 Commander decks. Commander decks, if you're not familiar, are 100-card pre-constructed decks. When you buy this deck, it will be completely themed around Final Fantasy VI, as the other games when we get to them. This deck specifically, we focused on the second half of the Final Fantasy VI game to set you up for story.
Are
Kefka
you
just won,
a
the
Final
world's in
Fantasy
ruin,
player
all your party members are
both?
scattered across.
So, I recently wrote an email to the Wizards of the Coast / Magic the Gathering like ambassador program, like their PR, and I am more of a Final Fantasy player than a Magic the Gathering player for sure, but Magic to me has always been around, and the world of Magic, there have been moments where my curiosity has been piqued. Like, I'm a goth at heart, so Innistrad has always been like, oh, that's cool. That's like a gothic horror setting with some crazy monsters and angels and werewolves. And I come from like a tabletop role-playing background where like vampires, werewolves, mages, that sort of stuff is like prevalent. But at the end of the day, Final Fantasy / JRPGs just hold a just tremendous like spot in my heart. Like, getting me through the toughest of times in my life, just teaching me how to be a storyteller, to focus my creativity to an audience either of like 2 or 3 people, or, you know, being a storyteller for thousands of people in a LARP like setting, or being on Twitch and, you know, sharing stories about what Final Fantasy has like brought, and like experiencing the story of, you know, the ages that, you know, Final Fantasy has like cultivated for its fans. So, but the fact that Magic is, you know, at the end of the day, we can just kind of like lower all expectations and the glam and just be like, look, it is the Fortniteification of Magic. It's just a cash grab. Universes Beyond is just a way for them to just get more money out of their fans, and it just pissing off the fan base. But like that is, I'm like I said earlier in the beginning, I'm the problem. I'm the problem. Look at me. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. This is just full of secret lairs of exclusive shit in Universes Beyond. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. And I totally get that. I totally understand. I'm the problem with Magic. I respect the world. I respect Ravnica, Innistrad, Bloomborough, you know, Planeswalkers, all that jazz. But at the end of the day, I just like the Fortniteification of it all. And especially, like, the one thing, however, I will say this. After this, it's going to take a lot. And I mean, it's going to take a serious IP that is almost as beloved as Final Fantasy to me in order to get me as excited about Magic completely. I think this is like the most I've ever spent on Magic for Final Fantasy because it's Final Fantasy. But I'm not super excited about Spider-Man because they've already tempered expectations for Spider-Man, being like, yeah, it's standard, but it's going to be like a half set, and it's not going to carry over to Arena, which means all the cards that you're going to get in Arena are basically like you're just dicked out of it. So they're just going to be replacement cards for those Spider-Man cards, and then eventually when they come out with an Avengers or a X-Men line, I feel like Disney/Marvel is going, because there is a Marvel Snaps game, it's not going to be as prevalent. And the fact that they released the secret lair with like Captain America, I mean, look, I mean, this is my Captain America deck. But it's my Marvel versus Capcom deck. I want to like actually kind of put this on here. I'm going to see if I can actually stick this on here, because this is my Marvel versus Capcom deck. It has the Street Fighter. Ryu was my old commander, but then I changed it out for Captain America and made it a what's it called deck? A Voltron deck. But he can easily come back, and Ryu could be the commander. I just gotta switch it out. But anyways, I don't think I will be as excited. The only other genre, the only other IP that can get me as hyped as Final Fantasy, that will basically allow me to spend thousands of dollars on their IP to get these pieces of paper. And I had to like dig deep and really think about it, and like what could possibly make me just as excited after Final Fantasy, and it's fucking Dragon Ball. If they drop a Dragon Ball Z collaboration, that is the only other thing in my life. There are only 3 things that hold true in my life: Final Fantasy, Dragon Ball, World of Darkness. Those are the only 3 things that I have psychopathic tendencies of IP that I respect. Oh, never mind. Drop World of Darkness. Legend of Zelda, Dragon Ball, Final Fantasy. Those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 pillars of my life. if any of those, if there's a Nintendo Magic collab or like a Zelda collab with Magic or a Secret Lair, I'd go crazy like I am going with Final Fantasy. And the same thing with Dragon Ball. That would be that's it. And then after this, like I said, because I think Disney is going to be really restrictive and really ball busting on what they can and can't put in Magic Arena / resale or full sets or anything like that, I don't think X-Men or Avengers are going to be as good as this Final Fantasy set. I'm calling it now. Like, I don't think they have the gumption or the manpower or the pull to really do an all-out set with a Marvel Avengers or a Marvel X-Men, because the Spider-Man is already lackluster. And let's be honest, Spider-Man is just one hero, and he outshines both all the Avengers and all the X-Men put together. So the fact that we're getting a lackluster Spider-Man set because of the IP confliction really is telling what the Marvel sets will be in the future. Without a doubt. I feel like Castlevania and Dragon Quest would make a fun Universes Beyond set. See, the problem is, like, okay, so with Castlevania and Dragon Quest, you run into, like, repeatisms, right? So, like, Castlevania would definitely be, like, Innistrad adjacent. And Dragon Quest would be, like, what? What's, like, a high fantasy... not Ravnica, but what's the other one? It's like a bunch of good enchantments. It's in my deck. God damn it, you're gonna make me... I'm gonna have to look at my decks real quick just to see what set that I think it's in. I'm installing Moxfield. Oh, I gotta sign in. Oh god, I forgot that I need to sign in. What is my... Is it this? Oh my god, I hate when websites log me out of things because I haven't visited them, like a crackhead. And then I do some of this. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's my decks. Let's go to my decks. I know Smothering Tides is in my red, white, and blue deck. Where is Smothering Tide? Because that's where I got the card from. Smothering Tide. And where is the card detail? It is from Eldraine. That's what it was. Eldraine. Eldraine is the set. That it's like it is like a high fantasy adjacent. That's where fucking what's his face, the guy that turns everybody into elks. What's his face, the guy that thinks he's Spike Spiegel in Outlaws. I was really offended by that. I'm like, you are not Spike Spiegel. You are not the guy. Everybody hates him. He's banned in Standard. I forget his name, but anyways. We haven't seen XF card in this set yet. I'm like I said, we haven't even gotten the full spoilers yet. So, I mean, we still have like a whole month. And at the end of this, we're still going to go over the commander sets because they've released a lot of commanders. Plus, they have a schedule of like specific content creators that are going to be releasing previews. It turns into a creature. Maybe. He might. Yeah, you're right. He might just turn into a creature. But yeah, I think after this Final Fantasy set, I am pretty much magicked out. I don't think the next, and I'm not trying to say that the core Magic sets are boring. I think I think there is a lot of I don't like to use the what other content creators or other people say, like the hats. Like, oh look, we're putting on detective's hats. We're doing detective time. Oh, look, we're taking off the hat and putting on a scary hockey mask. Ooh, we're in like a spooky horror, like slasher film. Oh, we're taking off the mask and now we're putting on a racing cap. Now we're racing. And it's like every set has its like has like a flavor or whatever, right? whether or not like the core set is like actually makes sense. I mean, this last the dragons, right? The dragon set was pretty faithful to the Magic alum, but I was like, I don't care, because I don't care. I don't care about dragons. I don't care about 3-color dragons. It's just not important to me. There's no, like, I'm in it for the weeaboo-ness. I love Magic. I love anime. And I love these Universes Beyond shit. That's the only thing that is drawing me into Magic. I don't, like, Ravnica's kind of cool because I like my guilds. I like my Dimir. I like my Rakdos. Like, that's cool. I liked it back in the day when we had the Ravnica, like, pre-releases, and they made us, like, they gave us the boxes that had, like, the clan symbols, and then they, like, broke us up into groups, and we had to plan, like, our strategies. It was really cool. I love the theme of it back in the day. But, like, yeah, man, I don't give a like, Tarkir, like, I don't, like, Eldraine, Mirrodin, fucking, what's the core world that all these fucking games come from? With, like, Urza and all that, like, all that shit. Where, like Teferi and all them are from. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I only care about Kamigawa. Like I said, I did like Duskmourn because I like the idea of, like, a world that was, like, that used spirits to, like, make posters. I thought that was kind of cool. And then, like, the girl summoning the demon that consumed everything, I thought that was, like, really fucked up and cool. And some of the short stories involving that, like, how, like, the sky was getting eaten and, like, everything else around the world is being, like, consumed by Valavok or Valavok, the moth demon. I thought that was cool. That was really cool. I thought he was going to turn into something more, but oh well. Point is, I'm only in Magic for the Fortnite-ification of it. And after this, obviously, there's going to be more crossovers. I'm definitely checking out with Avatar because I don't give a shit about Avatar. I might go back for Lorwyn because Lorwyn was the first set that I actually played Magic and understood what I was doing. Like, I had played during, like, Ice Age and, like, all the old sets during the 90s, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't buy a deck. I just, like, played my cousin's decks, but I had no idea what I was doing. But, like, Lorwyn was the actual full, like, the first set that I actually bought. I made a Merfolk deck, and that was, like, the first time I understood the mechanics and understood what I needed to do in order to achieve victory in Magic. And then I realized that Standard sucks and Commander's better. Even though Commander is slightly more expensive than Standard, I still like Commander as a format because, lo and behold, there was another table or a card game I used to play that almost exactly duplicated what Commander was, or it was before Commander came out. I actually want to know what came out first, the World of Warcraft trading card game or Commander the format, because you had a hero, and then you had abilities, and you had allies, and you had quests, and everything was a resource. Every card in your hand was a potential resource. You had Ren, Mortal Strike. This is like a warrior deck, by the way. You had Ren, Mortal Strike, Fury, and you're like, crap, I don't have quest cards. Well, I'm going to put down the Ren face down, and that becomes a resource. Every card in your hand was a resource. No digging for lands, which I hate. I think that's like the worst thing about the worst thing about Magic is not having resources to do anything. I would totally exile a card face down if I could tap that for colorless or tap that for a mana of my choosing any day of the week versus, well, I have, like, in my pod, I try putting I put 38 lands, 32 to 38, depending on the theme. But, like, even if I get screwed, we've just become a house rule now where you just draw 3, you just start with 3 lands in your hand and draw 4. That's it. Because you just sitting there and not doing anything for, like, 5 turns is like the worst feeling ever. Even if you don't draw the cards you want, at least you actually got to play a land and potentially it will do something later on. But not being able to, when you draw and discard, or you draw and you can't do anything and you're not even putting down resources for potential late game shenanigans, that is the worst feeling. And that's the only thing about Magic I hate the most is resource management, and I think that's the worst mechanic ever. It is the worst part about Magic is the resource management. Okay, Final Fantasy VI. This is the moment. I might cry. I might tear up. I didn't see any of this, but Final Fantasy VI is the best Final Fantasy. 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 Is the best goddamn Final Fantasy. Best. You're wrong. If you say any other, if you say any other number, you're wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. Non-fallible. It's okay. Just remember, it's 6. 6 is the best Final Fantasy. Ever. Ever. Ingrain that in you. Let it become a part of you. The best. Okay? Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay. Back to it. We're going back.
The land, and you're going to gather them back up, form your party, get the gang back together, and go take down Kefka. And that's exactly what Terra here does. Her trance ability, when she attacks, she'll get an evasive so she can connect in, but she's also going to fill your graveyard with your party members and friends. Then when she connects, you're going to bring them back. You're going to get the party together, and you're going to go conquer Kefka.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Do you want to show us a little bit how summons might work in this game?
Summons?
Well, it wouldn't be Final Fantasy.
By the way, I hate how they changed the name of this creature in Final Fantasy VI. It was Tritok. They gave it a new name.
Without summons.
I don't like it.
With Magic
and
the
they tried
Gathering
doing it in Final Fantasy
we
XIV.
introduced it as Saga creatures. These are both creatures and sagas. So you'll get your creature out. Summon Esper Valgamonde has haste, so it'll attack right away.
I hate it.
But as the turns pass, you'll tick down, get those abilities. The first one, you're going to be pulling resources from all graveyards, all those non-creature spells, and over time you're going to get mana to cast those spells. And at the end of the chapter, it's going to go away in an epic conclusion.
Wow. So do we have any Terra?
I think I saw it over Twitter this weekend. I don't know. I haven't confirmed. I don't know, but I think I saw something like that.
Fans in the audience.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I like Terra Held of Hope, but here's the card. I think we've shown it. She looks pretty good, right? Here's Stephanie to tell us a little bit more.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Ben. You may have noticed that there is something very special about these two paintings. In our Final Fantasy Artist Series, we've invited 9 incredible artists from Square Enix to illustrate any character from the Final Fantasy franchise. They were not limited to the series that they worked on, but invited to illustrate any character, especially ones that they have always wanted to paint. So not only are these painted by the one and only Yoshitaka Amano, but these are brand new paintings of Terra, never before seen until this Universes Beyond partnership. And without further ado, here's a special message from Amano himself.
Amano, oh my God. It's the GOAT.
ファイナルファンタジーはね、やっぱりずっとやってきてるし。
It's so beautiful.
あ、こっちはもうね、なるべく非常識でやっていこうっていうことで、とらわれないで描きました。これはもう状況がもういっちゃってるんですよね。炎の中に入ってるっていうんですかね。
My dream.
ケフカはもうめちゃくちゃですね。狂った色、いろんな色が入った方がいいんじゃないかなっていうイメージみたいなぼやっとしたものがあって、それを形にしていく。その行為が楽しいというか。まずその通常のティナは剣持ってて空挺がいっぱいいてっていうファイナルファンタジーの世界をちょっと もう一回表現して
Airship
み
in
る
the background.
こっちの変身後の方は最初にキャラクター作った時以外はあんまり
It's
書いて
so
ないんですよ
beautiful.
ね。あの時はもう少しこう腕フォルムされてましたから
I'd put that on
これ
my
はちょっとリア
wall.
ルにしたんですけどおーかっこいいですね素晴らしいです素晴らしいですね小さいんですけどもすごいこう重みがあるというんですかねマジックとファイナルファンタジーのコラボレーション皆さん楽しんでください
Arigato arimasu. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So if we're going to get art from Amano to put on our cards, we had better make some pretty awesome magic cards. And that's what you're seeing here with Terra. So on her front face, she comes down. She finds you an enchantment. One of those saga creatures, perhaps. Something that she can summon. When it's time, you can flip her over to her other side, literally turn the card over to unlock Esper Terra. She copies an enchantment that you have and does something we've never done in Magic before, which lets you kind of set it on the chapter counter you want, get the abilities you want, and then it goes away. After her 4 chapters are done, she adds 10 mana to your pool, which for all you astute Magic fans in the audience, you might notice that she is green and red, and she starts adding white, blue, and black, which is, of course, the Esper color combination in Magic the Gathering. She flips back over to her front side, and then you can do it all over again. Plus, get that Enter's ability to grab another enchantment. A really powerful Magic card and really worthy of this incredible artwork.
All right. Dylan, please would you bring us up to speed on the narrative of Final Fantasy VI?
So it sounds like we have a lot of Final Fantasy VI fans here in the audience today. But if you haven't played this wonderful game yet, I'm just going to spin you a picture so we can all understand what we're talking about here. So Final Fantasy VI is an epic told in 2 parts. The first half of the story revolves around the conflict between the Gestalian Empire and the Returners Resistance movement. It takes on a very classic shape of a Final Fantasy story, right? We're introduced to our many beloved cast of characters like Terra and Celeste, Locke, and eventually we see them all come together, rally to battle against Kefka, one of video games' most iconic villains of all time.
The GOAT.
But of course,
The fucking GOAT.
as the chosen heroes to save the world from the villain of this game, you would expect that when you go up against Kefka, you are victorious. But perhaps, as Daniel alluded previously, something special about Final Fantasy VI is halfway through the game, you lose. And so, the second part of this game is about the world of Ruin, where Kefka has become the ruler of all. He has become all-powerful and is the master of all magic.
Ruler of Ruin.
So, your party is scattered
Oh my
to the winds.
god, it's so good.
Eventually, Celeste, Terra come back together. You rally everyone to take on Kefka one more time and eventually conquer the ruler of Ruin.
So, Gavin, do you want to take us through this card?
Yeah, this is a very special one, Ben. So, of course, featuring that amazing artwork by Amano, a blue, black, and red legend. When Kefka enters, you play a little mini game. Each player is going to discard some cards, and then you get to draw some cards back up, well fitting of kind of the minigame aspect that Kefka has. But when it is time to go to the world of Ruin, you can pay 8 mana. Each opponent sacrifices a permanent. the world
Dancing
gets a
man.
little
It's
ruined,
intensified.
and then you flip
Dancing
Kefka
man. I
over.
know, right?
5/7, flying.
Oh my
you can
God.
attack right away the turn you flip it over, of course. As
Unfortunately,
long as it's been
I
played for
did
a turn.
see this
You
on
hit your
Saturday
opponent,
on
you
my
draw
phone.
5 more cards, and then as
I
long as
fucking
Kefka's in
cried.
play,
I bawled my
whenever an
fucking
opponent
eyes
loses
out.
life, you draw that many
At the
cards.
event, I was
It
like,
is
excuse
very
me, I
hard
went to the
come
back of the
back
building
from
and I
getting hit by
fucking
Kefka,
cried.
just as it should be.
I wish I could emulate
Okay.
the feeling
There
that
you
I did
have it.
right now. But just seeing, seeing Kefka in the year of our Lord 2025, right? This game remind me. I'm just like shooting in the dark here. It was 2000 or 1996. When was Final Fantasy VI? Sorry, my cough has returned. 1994. 1994. Right? 1994 is... I'm living in this, like, paradox. Do you know all the commander decks lists are officially? Yes. We're going to go after that. We're going to go after we watch this. We're going to go after the commander decks. I have it queued up right here. Where the deck list. It's going to be a long night, fellas. We're going to go after we're done with the showcase. We're going to go and look at the commander list. Plus, they also have like the mechanics. So we're going to look over mechanic stuff. And then they also have like some important things you need to know. If there's other things that I need to look at, I know there's some like a bunch of. I'm gonna go over Twitter, and there's like a bunch of like MTG ambassadors stuff that people have been releasing all day today and yesterday. I should have sent that letter like months ago, but or weeks ago. But regardless, just seeing anything from my childhood like this, like. That's what I'm talking about. And that's like the problem of being an adult, where these people are taking advantage of my nostalgia. They are feeding into the corporate likeness of like, just spend money and just collect the things that you love. This is the thing you love, right? You can hold it in your hand. And I'm like, yes, because at even in any point in time, this shit does not exist. Like it does now with certain things, like right, like you could buy Marvel T-shirts, you could buy Marvel fucking towels, cookies, cereal, whatever, right? But you're not gonna get a Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy stuff is like specialty. It's like collaboration. You have to go to the Final Fantasy store, and like they have a limited amount of stuff, like pop-up events. I've been to 2 pop-up Square Enix events. And just dropped like hundreds of dollars on Final Fantasy merch because I know I wasn't going to get it ever again, because this stuff, it's just not out there. It's just not as celebrated in the West as it is in like Japan. And so like, yeah, they're taking advantage of my nostalgia. Yes, they are totally corporatizing. And this is the way that you make money in the modern era, is to tap into nostalgic franchise and to bleed the fandom dry. But like unlike Western IP, which is like heavily commoditized, like Star Wars or Marvel or like G.I. Joes or whatever, like this shit, like it's hard to celebrate your fandom because there's only so much shit that Square releases to the masses that is like hard to get. And so like, yes, I want to hold something that is like the physical representation of Kefka, because there hasn't been a Kefka figure. There might have been a poster for like when they created the Final Fantasy like PSP game, or when they did Dissidia. Like they haven't done like this Pixel remake. They didn't like do like a big marketing where you could buy a bunch of Pixel remake shit. There's like hardly any shit out there for me to love the thing I love. Like I love Final Fantasy VI. It saved me in my most darkest times growing up. I can't tell you how much I love that story and how much it like kept me going to get better, to level up, to grind, to get to the Kefka's Tower. Like, God, just you have no idea. And so, yes, I am going to buy a Kefka card, because it's going to be that one piece of like, I'll be like, I forever have this Kefka card, and I have something that I can hold, that I can forever look at and be like, this is an honor and a privilege that I get to celebrate my fandom in this tiny way, unless they do another remake of Final Fantasy VI, which I doubt they will, because they've already had Pixel remake, right? It's just like, there's no action figures, there's no posters. There is, but it's like really hard to get. And so this is like the closest
Fantasies 1 through 6. We are halfway through our show, and we are going to give our incredible panelists a little break for a few minutes. So please give it up for our panelists. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Let's bring our panelists back onto the stage.
So they did cut out. So I heard that there was like a mini game that they showed, with like Xavier Woods and a bunch of other people. I'm glad they cut that out.
Gavin, Zakil, Dylan, Daniel, let's rejoin.
Okay, so they did cut out the mini game portion. And we're going back. We're going back to what matters, the cards.
Magic cards. Woo! Yeah! All right.
Okay. That was incredibly well planned. Let's go. I want everyone to settle down, and I recognize that we can't really jump back immediately into Final Fantasy VII. I think we need to jump into something a little fun. I think we need to jump into something, dare I say, a little cute.
Okay.
Let's watch this.
I saw this too. War? The Black Chocobo! And the elusive Golden Chocobo. 77. 70 freaking 7. Guys. What is Final Fantasy doing? Oh my god, why am I peeking?
Wow, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's not in the cards, I just said that myself.
That's crazy.
Okay, Zakil, talk us through this.
Yeah, oh man, I love Chocobos. Right here is our flagship Chocobo at Mythic in Traveling Chocobo. It is a 3-mana 3/2 that allows you to look at the top card of your library, as well as cast and play birds and lands from the top. Earlier, we showed you Bartz and Boko, who interacts within the bird archetype within the set. That card enters the battlefield and deals damage birds deal damage off that trigger. This card also doubles those triggers.
Oh, man.
And we knew that Chocobos are such an important part of the Final Fantasy franchise that we had to do something really special. So enter our colorful Chocobos. Here are 4 of them in neon ink, in yellow, pink, green, and blue. These are found in all language collector boosters. And during development, as we were putting this together, we worked very closely with Final Fantasy VII creative director Tetsuya Nomura, who really loved the idea. One of his producers during development told us that his favorite Chocobo from the original Final Fantasy VII was the Black Chocobo, named Teo, because he was the fastest one in the original minigame, and it held a very special place in his heart. We built this last card kind of as a secret in the background and surprised Tetsuya Nomura. So that card is exclusively printed in Japanese and available in all language collector boosters as a nod to that story for him. And then the lone serialized card in Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy is the Golden Chocobo. This card is only available in English collector boosters and is serialized out of 77 for Final Fantasy VII.
Damn.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Give a round of applause for Chocobos.
Round of applause for Chocobos.
Okay. Now we move on to a little bijou game called Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, man. What do we do? Are we even prepared?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
It really is an amazing video game.
He's so British.
And
I
has
love
a huge
Ben Starr.
reputation. Dylan, this game is huge.
So huge, in fact.
Fucking baby's first Final Fantasy. I'm saying it now. If you love Final Fantasy VII, not only was it your first Final Fantasy, it was your first JRPG, baby's RPG. You're basic as fuck. Just so you know. If you love Final Fantasy VII, you're basic. I respect Final Fantasy 9 and 8 players more than 7.
That on the original release for PlayStation, it came in 3 discs. If you were an old school gamer, if you were there back in the day, you knew you were in for a wild time when your game came in multiple discs, especially for an RPG.
You're basic.
So, walk with me. Final Fantasy VII follows the story of Cloud Strife,
Super Mario
ex-soldier
RPG.
and current
Okay.
mercenary, as
See,
he
that's
winds
the
up in
goat.
this broiling
You're the
conflict
goat.
between the Shinra Electric Company and the anti-Shinra resistance group, Avalanche. Cloud's adventure begins in Midgar, of course, the city of Mako, and this world that we're introduced to is inspired by these science fantasy aesthetics and these kind of cyberpunk-inspired themes. And the first disc is just about this amazing adventure that brings together the core
And that's a
cast
great
of characters like
starting
Barrett,
point.
Tifa,
Super Mario RPG.
Aerith, Red 13, as they battle against Shinra and ultimately learn
8 was
of
my
a deadlier
first.
threat
Final Fantasy still my
looming
favorite.
on the
Okay.
horizon, Sephiroth.
Sephiroth.
Please insert disc 2.
Disc 2 launches us into the open world, traveling
Nice.
across the lands, battling monsters, riding Chocobo, collecting materia, and visiting many iconic locations like the Gold Saucer and Cosmo Canyon. And we get to meet more allies like Kate Sith and Sid Highwind. And if you're going for the full experience in the original release, you spend a lot of time recruiting Yuffie and Vincent.
Hell yeah, brother.
The stakes become higher. We learn more about the ancients and Genova, Sephiroth's master plan, and Cloud's increasingly mysterious backstory.
Please insert.
Oh, okay. We want to do disc 3. So finally, in the ultimate finale, we hit the major climax, plot twists, shocking character deaths, cataclysmic boss battles, and a final gauntlet against Genova and Sephiroth to save the world. So I've taken you on this extended and somewhat silly journey just to kind of remind all of us how much content we needed to fit into this set just from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. That is true.
So, there are obviously some amazing cards. Let's get to it. Gavin, let's show us one.
All right. Well, we have to have the characters.
The
Final
basic
Fantasy
pitch
VII, of course.
Cloud.
So how
Just
about
a 2-2.
Cloud?
He's a two
We knew we
color.
had to
He's
do
a
Cloud.
two
Obviously,
white.
we're going to do Cloud, but what was Cloud going to do? How are we going to make
Human
him a card that was
mercenary.
worthy
Human soldier
of the Cloud
mercenary.
name? Well, the first thing Cloud does when he comes into
Basic
play
as bitch.
is go and find an equipment. Of course, he's got to find his sword. That's critical.
Stoneforge
now, if
Mystic.
you are a long-time Magic player, you might know about a card called Stoneforge Mystic. Very powerful Magic card. Cloud is a little bit reminiscent of that, finding you any equipment you want. It also doubles all the abilities conferred by that equipment. So you put, say, an old school Sword of Fire and Ice or Sword of Feast and Famine on him, boom, you're doubling up all those triggers. So there's a lot of really powerful stuff you can do with Cloud.
Yeah.
This card is incredible and well worthy of being Cloud.
The Buster Sword. Oh my God.
Now you might be wondering, what is Cloud going to find? What kind of stuff might you want to find with Cloud? Well, there's a card in the set called Buster Sword. That's some pretty good news, right? Would you all like to see the Buster Sword? Well, I'm not going to show it to you.
Oh.
Damn. You can stay
Damn.
tuned to find out what the Buster Sword does in the days to come, but I can tell you that it's 3 mana, curves right off of a Cloud, and it's pretty good on Cloud himself.
Oh,
Wow.
Not showing it to us. Quite literally the definition of a double-edged sword.
Wow.
Zakil, what's next?
Wow. They're not showing. They show it, but they
Our
don't
next
show.
card, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic characters in video game history.
Okay.
He has brought excitement, joy, and terror to millions of fans around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce to you, illustrated by none other than Tetsuya Nomura, Sephiroth.
So, we're going to pause it right here because today they dropped some heaters on this card. They dropped some mad heaters about the Tetsuya Nomura card. And I was like, "Oh, really? That's interesting. Like why would this card be a heater?" Well, if you look at Sephiroth in that form, he don't look like the final form in Final Fantasy VII like OG. So this is clearly a preview of Sephiroth in his final form in whatever part 3 is going to be. And I'm trying to find the tweet right here. Yeah, Final Fantasy cannot share it right here. So this is the article. IGN. I know I go to IGN a lot, guys, because that's like my old school stomping grounds for freelancing and stuff. But there is a reason why Sephiroth has a different design in Magic the Gathering set. But director Tetsuya Nomura cannot share more, by sparking Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 speculation. If you checked out the Magic the Gathering new Final Fantasy series recently and spotted something a little different about Sephiroth, you're not alone. But director Tetsuya Nomura cannot share why there's been a change yet. The Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy crossover set has been designed by some of the talented artists behind the game, including Nomura himself, and cards including 2 designs of Final Fantasy VII infamous villain Sephiroth. This time around, I drew Sephiroth on both the front and the back side of the card, Nomura explained in a statement posted on social media. I actually drew them so that they would join up if placed one on top of another. So if you manage to get 2 of the same card and line them up, you'll see how the original illustration looks. There's also a reason that the design for the safer Sephiroth is different from the original game. But unfortunately, I cannot share more about that. Saver Sephiroth, which appears on the card Fable Soldier, has both arms, while on the second card, the One Wing Angel, has one card on a separate wing. Almost immediately, fans got to work trying to decipher what the change means. Safer Sephiroth has 2 arms that appears to be legs. It seems to be taken from clues from Dissidia into Safer Sephiroth. I wonder what it could mean for the story in Part 3, suggested one player, while another merely said, we got a sneak peek of Safer Sephiroth for Part 3, didn't we? Magic Gathering Final Fantasy set will fully draftable standard legal set and will be released alongside 4 pre-constructed commander decks and 1 theme after each of the 4 Final Fantasy games, 6, 7, 10, and 14. Each deck consists of 100 cards to make sure both Final Fantasy cards as well as existing cards with new Final Fantasy art. A set launches on June 13th. We're now awaiting the 3rd and Final Fantasy VII Remake Edition, named Unknown, after we received the first of the trilogy in 2020 and the second Rebirth last year in 2024. And just to complicate things further, an enhanced edition called Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade was released on PS5 and PC in 2021, which the version was also on its way for Nintendo Switch 2. In January, it emerged that Square Enix has completed the story of the 3rd and final part of Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy. Speaking to Famitsu and translated by Eurogamer, Final Fantasy series producer Yoshinori Kase, no, that's a Kitse, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director Hikai Hitaguchi, Nikui Hitaguchi. I know it's Hamaguchi. Developer said on the highly anticipated conclusion was progressing smoothly. I'm very satisfied with the story, and I'm sure fans will be satisfied with the final chapter. Oh, it was Katase. I was right. Katase? Yeah, it was Katase. For some reason, I wanted to say Sue, but Sue is TSU. Okay. Along with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth creator director Tetsuya Nomura, which, by the way, if you're new to my channel, there's a saying, Nomura never loses. He never loses. Anything he does is gold. Everything he touches is gold. Everything he works on is gold. Nomura can never lose. Part 3 requires the respective original Final Fantasy VII along with the new levels and satisfaction not felt in a game, Katase said. Square Enix announced the plans to release Final Fantasy VII Remake as a trilogy in June 2022, following the launch of the first game, which had fans questioning if the entire story would be in need of 12 parts to be told properly. This is because Final Fantasy Remake itself only adapted the opening few hours of the original game up to a point where the party left Midgar. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth expands the scope significantly, however, enters the open world and thus covering myriad locations such as Costa del Sol, Golden Saucer, and many more, including new ones. It brought an overall story up to the end of Disc 1 in the original Final Fantasy VII, which closed in both games, which are arguably the most iconic moments in the video game history. Part 3 will pick up immediately after, though very little is known about it so far. Development began in June 2022, but Square Enix hasn't said when it will end, only vaguely noting it hopes to release Part 3 by 2027. Something it has, however, is that it will not cheat when it comes to the Highwind airship. This allows the party to quickly move around the world in the original game, but now in the world of fast travel, many fans wonder how the iconic ship could be implemented. We will not cheat with the airship system in Part 3, but take the challenge head on so it can freely fly over all the game map, Hataguchi said last November. So, that, I wanted to talk about that real quick because, yeah, does this might have some connection to, and I've been saying this for weeks amongst my friends and maybe sometimes on stream, is that it says core games, but clearly we're getting the Final Fantasy VII bias is strong because the starter kit is definitely Sephiroth and Cloud from Final Fantasy Remake. The commander deck is probably base Cloud, and then these are probably Remake or Rebirth or whatever the third one's gonna be called, Sephiroth. So that's crazy. It's like, this is like, there's some recency bias for sure that Final Fantasy VII, even though they say we're only covering the core Final Fantasies, they're clearly tapping into the Final Fantasy Remake Rebirth IP. We're getting those cards, we're getting those arts without a doubt.
So Stephanie mentioned earlier that there were 9 artists from Square Enix who created illustrations exclusively for this project. One of those artists, of course, was Tetsuya Nomura. They all had the choice to pick any character from the Final Fantasy series that they wanted to illustrate, and we would make sure that they had a card. One of Nomura's missions when he drew this illustration was to really narrate the progression that the character has in his multiple different forms. So if we look on the left at the bottom, you have Child Sephiroth that was introduced in Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, who of course then grows up into Adult Sephiroth from the original game, who then transforms into his penultimate form in Bizarro Sephiroth, which then leads to the end-all, be-all, most powerful version in Safer Sephiroth. So, do you all want to see his card? So let's check out Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. He's a 3-mana 3/3. Whenever he enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Then, whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And if this is the 4th time this ability is triggered, transform Sephiroth into Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel, who is a 5/5 legendary creature, Angel Nightmare, with flying and the ability Supernova. As this creature transforms, you gain an emblem with the same ability from the front side, and it is capped off with whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards.
Oh my God.
This is the 2nd ever creature in Magic the Gathering to produce an emblem. This is the card that I think went through the most design iterations. It felt like we had a new build of Sephiroth every single month within development because we wanted to make sure his card was special and he would have a grand entrance into Magic the Gathering.
Amazing. Okay, let's moving on. So many amazing characters in Final Fantasy VII. Here's one. Dylan.
We're going to talk about the story of Sephiroth and Cloud. Of course, we're going to talk about Aerith herself. So here we can see Aerith is the white mage and healer of the party. She's here to protect you. She's here to heal you. And she has a third ability that may or may not be related to a story beat. So if you're a fan, let us know if that happens to be relevant or not. I'm not sure myself.
Oh my God.
Spoiler alert on that card for some reason. Okay, let's moving on.
That's fucked up.
We see this beautiful version of the Flower Girl herself. But we're not just going to talk about Aerith today. We're also going to talk about Tifa.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah, boys.
So we see 2 Tifas here, and I actually see a
back
Tifa
on the
here in
menu.
front row. You look fantastic. The one on the left here is Tifa Lockhart. This is her main set card, and I just want to personally attest. I have won so many games in-house with this card, and I've lost even more games against this card. She is very, very powerful, but it's not the only Tifa that we have. Dan, you want to talk about the Commander version?
Right, you see that chocobo symbol? That means we're talking about commander. This is the secondary commander for the commander deck for Final Fantasy VII. This is Tifa. She has melee. I put that on pretty early on. You know, martial artist, she gets in there. But the second ability I was struggling with for a little bit of while. And then Dylan joined the game design team pretty late, and he's like, hey, what if you focused on this? So we leaned into that extra attack. That's what she does in the game. You're trying to get combos going. And so whenever you attack with melee, you get to power 7 or greater, which is the sub-theme of the deck. You get those extra combats. So as you guessed, there is a full Final Fantasy VII commander deck led by none other than Cloud himself.
Yeah, boy.
This deck is an equipment deck with that sub-theme of power 7 or greater. So in this deck, you'll find every party member you come to expect, maybe some villains in here as well, and all the iconic equipment like a Buster Sword, Yuffie Shuriken, Tifa's boots, everything you'd expect to find. And then with that Cloud as the face commander, he's tying everything together. He gets in there with that haste magic. He gets a free equipment. And then whenever he attacks, you draw a card for each attacking member of your team that is suited up. And then if his power is 7 or more, he gets paid as that mercenary to cast those spells.
Nice.
Incredible. Right.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Finally, the game I've been waiting for, and hopefully all of you have, Final Fantasy VIII.
We can skip this, right? We're just going to skip this? We're skipping this, right? We're skipping this. We're just moving on. Final Fantasy VIII was a mistake. Can we just move on? Can I get a show of hands? Final Fantasy VIII was a mistake. It never happened. Technically, it never did happen because it's a time paradox. So we can just move along, ignoring everything about 8. Thank you. That is my TED Talk. Now we'll go back. We'll go back. But I am right. It was a mistake. Final Fantasy VIII was a mistake. The fact that the lower level you are, the more powerful you are, the draw system was a mistake. Everything about that game, grooming, the time paradox, the academy, it didn't age very well.
Finally, the game I've been waiting for, and hopefully all of you have, Final Fantasy VIII. Quite literally the game that changed my life, so this is a very emotional moment for me. Dylan, let's talk about this game.
I disagree,
There's so
but
much
that's
to
me.
love
Okay.
and appreciate about Final Fantasy
You disagree.
VIII.
You're banned. Thank you for coming to the Out of Order show. It was great knowing you. You are now banned. I am putting you in ban. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for stepping up and being brave as I shoot you down and you are now banned. Sometimes having courage is a mistake. Just so you know. Having the courage to speak your mind is a mistake. I'm just kidding. I didn't ban you. I didn't ban you. I did not ban you. Why would I do that? Why would I want to, like, you have to really tick me off in order to get a ban. Like, really tick me off to get the ban. The most likely people just get timed out. 100%. By the way, shout outs to YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for hanging out with me this late. Twitch is kind of but here on the YouTube lands, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support as I go over and just make a complete idiot out of myself as I go over like all these cards and just going like over them. I feel the hate towards 8 is overblown a little. Well, unfortunately, you have to 7 is I will, like, as much as I give 7 shit, it is like it's like very hard to like continue. Like, that's why I'm saying 10. Earlier in the stream, I talked about how IGN put out this top 100 RPGs, but they had specific rules about there couldn't be any repeat of any franchise. So they had to choose like one Final Fantasy, one Breath of Fire, one of everything, right? And the one that they chose was Final Fantasy X, which I kind of agree. Because you're never gonna, like, there are gonna be Final Fantasy IV weirdos that love the Cecil, Kain, Rydia, They're the sickos. People who love Final Fantasy IV are fucking sickos, and God bless them. Right? Then you have like the true elites, the ones who are actually like just Einsteins of storytelling, and that's Final Fantasy VI, right? But then you have like the 5-head smooth brainers that love Final Fantasy VII. And then you have like literally the abandoned child left in a dark corner, people who love Final Fantasy VIII. And then you have just weirdos, not sickos, just weirdos who love 9, which is why like Gavin, who's like, I love Final Fantasy IX. He totally nailed it. He's a fucking weirdo. No wonder you're the lead designer of Magic. You're a fucking weirdo. You fucking weirdo. Touch some fucking grass, you fucking weirdo. Talk to some people. Have some friends. God, you gotta be all fucking nerdy and just like make magic for a living. God, you're just a fucking weirdo. But 10 is like the culmination of like good story, like the good storytelling of 6 and 4. The enriched cutscenes and game mechanics of like 7, and then it has like the weirdo-ness and the cringeness of 8, plus the kind of throwback and like the remembrance of 9. Like it still remembers it as a Final Fantasy game, which has the pinnacle, like Tidus has, he's the only one that has haste like for half the game. And arguably, Yuna is like the white mage and Lulu is the black mage. Like 10, I would say, is the most complete, rounded Final Fantasy for anybody. And the fact it came on the PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation 2 is like, I think is still either the second or the third most sold console on the planet. Right? It introduced like DVDs, like everybody had a PlayStation 2, and just the PlayStation 2 era of JRPGs was just fantastic. Like chef's kiss good. Like, yeah, it's gonna leave some people out of the cold. I agree. But like the fact of the matter is that the 10, it also introduced some things too. Like it gave voice acting. It wasn't the greatest voice acting, but voice acting in a JRPG. The cutscenes were amazing. The music, hold on. Sorry. I just been talking about this song all night, and now I just have to find it. I just have to I have to play it. Hopefully I don't get like what's it called? What's the word, the world where they trying to find the song. What is the song called? Final Fantasy X opening song rock. What is it called? The Otherworld. Okay, so it's the Otherworld. That was called Otherworld. Yeah. Plain clear, yeah. The fact that the game opens up to this, like ultimately opens up to this. And it's Blitzball. It's like what we're not at a rock concert, they're playing water soccer. It's so good. So good. so good. So good. Just I don't want to get like what's it called, demonetized. But dude, just like I said, Final Fantasy X. I agree. I humbly agree that is like the best Final Fantasy in that list for the sake of impact, to kind of appease all of the other Final Fantasy fans. As a Final Fantasy VI, you know, Einstein, big brain, storytelling genius, I give respect to Final Fantasy X, the plot twist, you know, Orange saying, "This is my story to tell, not yours." Like, it's so good. And Titus just being just weirdo, just like a weirdo, but like a fun weirdo.
So happy you all cheered so loud for this game. So Final Fantasy VIII kind of pushes what we understand fantasy to be as a genre, right? It really leans into a lot of esoteric ideas.
This sucks. Okay, I'm gonna go.
If we all remember Squall dreaming of Laguna, events of the past, trying to figure out how to stop the future, and then ultimately we go up against Ultimecia, whose whole plan harkens back to Chaos from Final Fantasy I to compress time and space into one massive power source for her to become an ascendant being. This story explores depth upon layer of how we understand fantasy to be in a modernized setting. I see why you love it so much.
I do. Daniel, let's talk us through this card here.
Well,
Boy Squall.
As Renoa once said, he's the best looking guy here. It's Squall. He's a bit of a lone wolf character, so that's what his abilities represent. With that rough divide, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets double strike. Why is that important? The second ability, whenever he deals damage to a player, you get to return any non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You got double strike, you're doing that twice. Boom. I think we have a booster fund version to show as well with that full art. Yeah, there it is. And I did mention Renoa at the beginning, Zakil. Maybe we should show her card?
Yeah. Here we have Renoa Heartlily.
Look at that. Look at that. He's an uncommon. How bad?
Yeah, Renoa is a close friend of Squall, and mechanically is known for battling alongside her dog, Angelo. So it would only be right.
Yes, Potted Plant, shoutouts to X2 for having both the best gameplay and the worst story. That is. Dude. You are not wrong. The fact that like the dress sphere system was just, and the story too was just, dude. The fact that the novella exists, guys, real talk, real fucking talk. And this is like, I don't know if it's like official yet, but if you don't know, Google like Final Fantasy X novella ending, and that whole thing is such a fucking mess. It is literally like the biggest F in a Final Fantasy I have ever seen. And I have played 11, or not 11. I played 12 and 8, which is arguably like the worst. Those two are the worst stories in Final Fantasy history. Like, yeah, like, bro, the novella for Final Fantasy X is heartbreaking because you play, like I said, not the pinnacle of Final Fantasy stories, but up there, right? It is arguably up there as far as like a Final Fantasy story that you can consume and enjoy and like relate and like kind of cultivate and become part of you. But then like 10-2 makes it even weirder, and then if you're a sicko like me and like had to like obsess and want to know more about the Final Fantasy you like, then you discover there's this novella, and it's a whole thing. Just, I'm gonna spare you guys the gruesome. Just, if you want to know, go on to Google. Just Google novella Final Fantasy X ending, and yeah, just
for her to have the ability, Angelo Cannon in combat. When you attack, you have a very large party, you get a buff. Angelo, any target creature you control, but specifically Angelo, gets a huge buff. So he will come in hot. So
I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care
Enough of these
about...
heroes. Let's go on to the
I
real
don't
hero
care
of Final
about
Fantasy VIII, and that is Ultimisia. We have something very special on this
I
card.
will
It's the
trade
first card in Magic
all
history
my
to
8
be an uncommon
cards.
that takes an extra turn. So this is an incredibly powerful card for an uncommon, which comes into play
I
with
will
Surveilling,
just-
you know, fills the graveyard a little bit.
will-
And then finally, when you have interesting number 8 cards in your graveyard and 8 mana, you can turn it
Yep.
over to Ultimisia Omnipotent,
Yep.
take another turn,
Yep.
and I'll tell you, 7/7
Yep.
menace plus another turn is a pretty easy way to close out a game. So yeah, take that, heroes. Take that.
Okay, do we have any Triple Triad fans in the room? Oh. Would you like to see some Triple Triad cards?
Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
know. Show them. Okay. But believe me, all they're in there. So, moving on pretty swiftly, we're going to go on to a little game called Final Fantasy IX. Here's
Okay. Sorry, triple triad, also a mistake.
Here's Stephanie to tell us more.
All right, Final Fantasy IX.
I'm so excited to
Final
introduce
Fantasy
my
IX,
personal
like I
favorite of the
mentioned-
Final Fantasy series.
Final Fantasy IX is for the weirdos. If you love Final Fantasy IX, you're just a fucking weirdo. I'm sorry. You just are. Own it. Own up to it. Be the freak that you can. I respect your freak. I'm not here to like tone down your freakness. If you love that shit, God bless you. But I'm not inviting you to the cookout. I'm just letting you know. If Gavin was like, hey, I'll give you hey, Michael Parra, I'm going to invite you to like MagicCon. You're going to get like super exclusive VIP.
Final Fantasy IX.
Blah, 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 blah. And like all we have to, like the only thing you have to do is talk about Final Fantasy IX the whole time because I love Final Fantasy IX and everything about Final Fantasy. I'll be like, yeah, Gavin, I'm just going to, I'll get a peon pass. You're not invited to the cookout. I'm sorry. You're a weirdo. Yeah, you're the lead game designer for Magic. Yeah, you have a lot of influence. Yeah, probably meet a bunch of cool people. But I can't possibly talk about Final Fantasy IX the whole fucking time. You are a weirdo. Just continue doing what you're doing with Magic. But people who love Final Fantasy IX are weirdos.
Final Fantasy IX was a fond farewell to the classic medieval fantasy setting. It paid homage to earlier games through its stylized character
and
designs
I will
and was
respect-
full of references and features from past games. One of our core creative pillars in this partnership
It's
was artistic
1.5.
authenticity. We needed to preserve the stylized character designs while interpreting it through the lens of Magic so we could offer something
1.5.
fresh and exciting.
We're
while
going at
staying true to the
1.5
heart of
speed
Final
during
Fantasy
this.
IX. The story follows Zidane as he teams up with the Princess of Alexandria, Garnet, to stop Queen Braun and her
Now, real quick. People who watch this video later on, or maybe in the comments, or maybe in the chat, they're going to be like, Parra, everything you're saying right now, you kind of like are a bitch made bitch. You're kind of sounding like a normie. You hate Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VIII is a mistake. And Final Fantasy IX is for the weirdos, but you love 6. You're starting to sound like a typical Final Fantasy Grognard normie fan. And you respect 10, but then everything past 10 you have like opinions on. And have you even played 4 in the past games? And by the way, yes, I have played 4, I have played 3, I have played 2. I have never played 1. But there is, Stranger of Darkness, or Paradise, or Stranger in Paradise Final Fantasy, which I want to play, which is like the prequel to 1. I don't want to play that. But regardless, people are going to say like, you're kind of like a bitch. You're kind of like a bitch made bitch. You're kind of like a normie. Your opinion is like a lot of Final Fantasy Grognard gatekeeping fans. And my response to that is fuck off.
army of black mages. It balances charm and lovable characters with an emotional, often heart-wrenching story of self-discovery and acceptance. As a teenager, the themes were so memorable and spoke to my angsty younger self. I went as far as getting my hands on the piano collections and learned to play a few iconic pieces by heart. I finally remember replaying my save file over and over again just to rewatch those incredible cutscenes.
Oh, God.
This game was incredibly resonant, and as with every game in the Final Fantasy series, it was important that we did Final Fantasy IX
I might
justice.
go up to 2.0.
Okay.
I might go up to 2.0.
Let's see some cards. Akil?
Yes. The first character we're going to look at is one of the antagonists from Final Fantasy IX, and that is Kuja Genome Sorcerer. Now, his illustration depicts a scene in which he is summoning an army of black mages against our heroes. He is also the head of the black-red archetype within the set that focuses on black mages, and he has 2 forms. At the end of each end step, he summons wizards to the battlefield, and once you have 4 more, he transforms into his more powerful version, Trance Kuja, that doubles the damage of all wizards to players or permanents you control. And check out that beautiful wizard token. Up next, we have a card for the Magic fans. We haven't shown any Final Fantasy Through the Ages bonus sheet cards. Check out this card reprint of Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer as Zidane Tribal. Gavin, who else from Final Fantasy IX is in this set?
Well, as a huge 9 fan, I'm really happy to show you.
And that's the mascot. That is literally the mascot of Weirdos. If you are a Vivi fan, if Vivi is like your fucking... If Vivi is the thing that makes you, like, wet at night, the thing that makes you, like, get your rocks off, because, he's, you know, it's so tragic, and you're a weirdo. You're just a fucking weirdo.
That's the reaction I was hoping for. Here's Vivi. All right, so a little bit of Black Mage is going on right here. Right? We saw Black Mages a moment ago. When you cast a non-creature spell, you ping them. But Vivi's a little more curious than that. Wants to get +1/+1 counters and then generate you mana equal to Vivi's power. So not only will it generate mana as you cast more and more spells, but also if you say Giant Growth or put an equipment on them, it'll generate you tons and tons.
Hold on. I want to go back because it's kind of a controversial take. In chat or comments down below, I want to know your opinions on this. What is your opinion on the nomorification of spells in Final Fantasy? Right? So, in the past, it was fire, 2, fire 3. Right? Even in Final Fantasy 7 and 8 and 9, I believe, it was like fire 2, fire 3. But then we got this whole Viagra, and it like appeared in Kingdom Hearts, and I think in 10, right? And like I believe it's the nomorification of it, and I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. What I'm not fine with is like when you go back to play older games that they've remade and they've renamed them. Like when I played the Pixel remake or the Game Boy Advance version of 6, they renamed the fires to Viagra, and Viagra. And I'm not cool with that. But like in newer iterations, newer Final Fantasies, I'm okay with it. And in my Kingdom Hearts, I'm okay with it as well. But in older games, it's kind of like it's like the what's it called? It's like rewriting history in a way, right? So if they ever do a Chrono Trigger remake and they change that shit from Lightning to Lightning 2 to Lightning, Lightnaga, like anything like that, I will be furious.
+1/+1 counters, and then generate you mana equal to Vivi's power. So not only will it generate mana as you cast more and more spells, but also if you say Giant Growth or put an equipment on them, it'll generate you tons and tons of mana. On the right-hand side there, we will see Fire Magic, which is a card with the new tiered mechanic. Tiered is a brand new mechanic appearing here in Final Fantasy. You've never seen this before. We knew we had to get abilities like Fire, Fyra, and Firaga into the set somehow. This is kind of like a modal kicker. It's on a handful of cards, and the more mana you put in, the bigger effect you get, just like in Final Fantasy.
Okay, Gavin, you're sounding very enthusiastic. Is it okay that your favorite game is Final Fantasy IX, right? You put a little bit extra work into this one.
Yeah, as the lead set designer, I might get to put my thumb on the scale a little bit, and so I gave 9 a bit of extra love. That's my bias.
Talking about extra love, right now we're moving on to a game called Final Fantasy X.
Okay. Final Fantasy X. Number 1, or I think, what was it? It was number 3 or number 4? I think it was number 3 in IGN's top 100 RPGs.
First game on the PlayStation 2, the story of Tidus and Yuna. It's an epic quest, and it's probably the reason that I'm around. The first Final Fantasy game to have actual voice acting in it.
Yes.
Without it, I wouldn't have a job. It's also one of our commander decks, isn't that right, Daniel?
That's true. And speaking of favorite Final Fantasy series, of course I had to make a Final Fantasy X commander deck. The thing about commander decks is while the main set goes wide, touching all 16 games, these commander decks go deep. They're going to get those heartwarming moments that follow Yuna and her party along. And while I'm not showing you that specific Yuna moment that you're probably all thinking right now, believe me, there is a beautiful card in the set for that. But let's talk about this deck. It is built around the Sphere Grid. That's what I wanted to do right away. It is a counters matters deck. In the game, you're moving pebbles around, getting new abilities and raising your stats. In the game, you're going to be moving your counters around like you're building the Sphere Grid. Tidus himself has that ability in the beginning to set up your party at the beginning of a combat. And then cheer. Whenever he connects, he will proliferate all of those counters, draw cards, and you will keep going and going for that goal. And yes, there is Blitzball in here.
Yes.
Baby. Okay, so that's Tidus, but where is Yuna, Zakil?
Guys, you can't have Final Fantasy
Of
X without my girl Yuna.
Spira, sorry.
For those who don't know, Yuna is a summoner that travels through Spira alongside her guardians, and her main mechanical ability is
during your turn,
her power
Yuna
to
and
summon
enchantment
Aeons
creatures you control
onto the
trample,
battlefield
lifelink,
to
and
aid
ward
her in
2.
battle. So this card focuses entirely on interacting with the Saga creatures in the set, resurrecting summons from the graveyard each turn, as well as buffing them while they are on the battlefield during your turn. And check out this beautiful borderless treatment as well.
Gorgeous. And from the summoner to the summoned, let's see one of the most iconic Aeons.
Bahamut. I like that they chose
How
the
does this
Final
one
Fantasy
work?
X Bahamut.
This is the
Because it's
correct
actually kind
reaction
of a-
for Bahamut. Now, when I was a kid, if you asked me to picture the
pillar.
coolest possible thing I could ever think of, I would get you Bahamut very fast. So when we concepted this card, the conceptor, the artist, and the art director, we all agreed we had to capture the aura of Bahamut and put it into this card. So we see the moment, the first time you summon it in-game, and if you look at the flavor word Mega Flare, you get to that overdrive, and you know the game will be over.
Damn.
That's pretty. So, also, this
creature
game
doesn't have
has
equal
some
the
of the
total mana
most
value of other-
beautiful vistas in all of
you
Final
each
Fantasy.
put
Let's show off
mana.
some cool land.
Yeah,
Zendikar.
absolutely. So I mentioned some of those rare towns earlier. This is part of a 5-card cycle, one for each color, and for 5 different games. This is Zanarkand Ancient Metropolis. This does something we've never done before, which is put an adventure on a land. These are the only 5 adventures in the set. They're on the cycle of 5 lands, and it's a great flavor fit because they are all things that happen in that location. Of course, if you're hanging out in Zanarkand, you might encounter the Fates. You can look for all 5 of these rare lands in the set, one for each color.
Amazing. So, before the
Nice.
critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV,
What is your pipe dream? I mean, after it's Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball would be the next. That's the only other card, like either Dragon Ball or Legend of Zelda would be the only, or like Legend of Zelda or Dragon Ball would be the next year is like the next big thing that Universes Beyond could do. Like the Kamehameha Wave has to be fucking awesome. Maybe I have the old Dragon Ball card game that introduced like evolutions. Maybe they do like the same thing, like an evolution, but having like different, like going from Goku, base Goku to like Super Saiyan God Blue Goku, like it would be such a nightmare. But I would just love to see it, like Ultra Instinct Goku. Like it would be such a fucking freak fest. Whereas I think Zelda could be kind of like a cool, like it would really fit in the Magic Pantheon, and you get some really cool cards in it. But it would ultimately it would just be medieval Nintendo approved Magic. It wouldn't be maybe the mechanics of the Triforce would be kind of cool, or like Ganon, or maybe like the different versions of Zelda would be in Link, and Ganondorf would be kind of awesome. But I think if you just want to go balls to the wall, something that it just goes hard as like this Final Fantasy set that will just like make fans just like slobber over themselves, a Dragon Ball set would be just like it would go so fucking hard. And like I want to know, like a year from now, if they do announce a Dragon Ball set, I want people to look at this channel and look at my video and be like, I fucking called it. Because like it's honest to God, it's you've already peaked at Final Fantasy for me. And I bet a lot of people who love Magic, who also play other, or who are fans of other IPs, right? There's a lot of people who love Spider-Man, but they know that the Spider-Man it's not going to be as pinnacle as this. I bet Avatar is going to sell like hotcakes because there's a lot of people that love Avatar, but I put him in the same category as Final Fantasy IX. It's for the weirdos. It's for the people who watched non-anime that is the and I know Dave Filoni, who's the brainchild of like the Star Wars like series right now, like with the Mandalorian and like Star Wars Rebels and all the like cartoonification of Star Wars. That was all Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni made Avatar. But Avatar as like a story is not that appealing to me. Whereas like Star Wars with Dave Filoni's storytelling is like fucking amazing. And I think that's the same thing with like Star Wars too. Like a Star Wars Universes Beyond is gonna happen, but it's not gonna go as hard because Disney won't let. Maybe with the Marvel Avengers, like Marvel X-Men Avengers stuff, they won't let it go hard because, like I said, there is Marvel Snap. There is an existing competitor to Magic the Gathering Arena, but there is no Star Wars card game. There is a miniatures tabletop game, so they might go hard with Star Wars. But like, how far in the Star Wars? Like, I only like original Saga and like Knights of the Old Republic with like Revan. Like, bro. I have Revan's lightsaber for a reason. Like, he is my favorite Jedi. Revan is like, but like, Star Wars just came out with the card. But that's what I'm saying is like, it does it have an online format? Does it have as big as like a reach? Like, arguably, there are 4 card games right now that are the biggest card games on the planet. You have, of course, Magic Gathering. You have Yu-Gi-Oh! You have Pokemon. And you have One Piece. Those are arguably the top 4 collector value, high value, high markup card games. Does Star Wars sell? Then this new Star Wars game, even the Disney LoreCon or whatever it's called, is not doing gangbusters as like those 4 I mentioned, right? They do sell, but they're not selling out. They're not like selling for thousands upon thousands of, like, if I go to TCG Player, right? The highest, let's see, the newest Aslan top singles, yeah, $35. Okay, there's a Tramp Enterprising Dog Enchanted that the card is going for $167. And like, Magic goes up to like hundreds to thousands of dollars, right? But then like One Piece, let's just go One Piece. We're like the extra booster 25th anniversary collection. Okay, maybe that wasn't the right set. Let me look at like, what's a good set? That's a starter deck release. Royal Blood. Let's see. God, I don't know what. I just know that One Piece is up there. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is also up there as far as like high ticket price, high value, high collector like stuff. So Star Wars is going to come out in Magic eventually, but like, unless it's the Mandalorian or Revan, I love Luke Skywalker, but because Luke Skywalker is only cool in like Return the Jedi, that's like the only version of Luke I like. And then when the new saga came out and they just they killed Han Solo, they killed Luke, and they're old and they're fat and they're like, it's just not cool, man. And then like, it's just not cool what they did to, and I know it's time, and that was, it's just not cool. And that's why I kind of like this new, like with the Mandalore and Ahsoka and this like, oh, what's his face? God, I can't remember his name. I'm like blanking out on his name, and I really respect him as a villain. What's his name? Villain. Star Wars. So, God, what was it? Thrawn. Damn it! I can't believe I forgot Thrawn. Thrawn is so fucking cool, right? And that's the only era of Star Wars that I like right now. Sadly, is this like post Return of the Jedi Star Wars that Dave Filoni and what's his face? Can't remember his name. What is his name? Jon Favreau. God damn it. God, I keep on forgetting people's names and things that I love. But Jon Favreau, right? That's it. That's the only thing I like. So unless they make like an Old Republic deck and like a Mandalorian deck, those are the only. But I will just buy only those two. I'm not gonna be like a sicko and buy like a collector booster, all the commander decks, the collector bundle, like all the shit that I'm buying right now for Final Fantasy for Star Wars set. I'm just gonna buy the things I want. Like I'll buy the singles. I'll buy the one commander deck that has either Revan or the Mandalore, and call it a day. I'm not gonna be a sicko about it. And that's what I'm saying. Is like the only thing that would make me like a sicko and just go fucking ham and buy all the cards and all the things would be Dragon Ball. Like a Cell or Boo commander that assimilates other creatures. You go, yeah, that would go fucking hard. Yeah. Like, yeah, like that's fucking cool. Like, oh, I only imagine. That's the pipe dream. That would be the only next thing that could lure me into buying as much Magic cards as I'm buying for this Final Fantasy set. It was Dragon Ball set.
There was the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XI.
Oh my God!
Here
yes,
we go.
my people!
And because it is an MMORPG, you had a different approach to the other games in the series.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy XI as an MMO has a lot to explore, a lot to cover, a lot to dig into. It was my first MMORPG of all time. I spent countless hours, scouring the realms of Vana'diel, whether I was making friends online or whether I was going up notorious monsters and absolutely just getting my butt kicked. I was just having the time of my life.
Absolute virtue.
Speaking of notorious monsters, let's talk about potentially the most notorious monster in that game. Just as a quick recap, if you don't know the story behind this character, this is a nigh unbeatable super boss end game for the toughest of alliances with the best gear, and even then it was very difficult to even approach taking down. If you take a look at his card, I wonder what kind of time you will have when you go up against him.
Now from something absolutely terrifying to something a little cuter. Let's talk about the Dragoon's Wyvern.
Where my Dragoons at in Final Fantasy XI? We all remember our Wyverns. I love this little guy. I spent so much time trying to go after this advanced job specifically because I love the idea of having the Wyvern. And so that's what Final Fantasy is about. It's achieving that amazing job.
I played a samurai.
Fantasy in these beautiful, amazing worlds, and then never forgetting the whimsy.
Here we go. There's one more. You got something to show us, right, Zakil?
Yes, we've talked about monsters, we've talked about the sense of adventure.
This fucking piece
Let's
of
talk about
shit.
everyone's favorite NPC, the original Taro Black Mage from Final Fantasy XI, Shan Todo.
This
Shan Todo
fucking
is
piece of shit.
The flagship uncommon, signpost uncommon within the set that focuses on spell slinging. When you cast non-creature spells, she gets buffs on the battlefield, and then if you cast anything that costs more than 4, you get to draw a card, which is very powerful in the context of limited, and potentially even in formats like Commander.
Absolutely amazing. So, from Final Fantasy XI to... Did someone say 1? Final Fantasy 12. We yin, we yang. Here we go. Dylan, give us the story.
Right. So Final Fantasy 12 takes the much beloved world of Ivalice, and there are many adventures, many stories happening here. In the intro, we learned the Arcadian Empire is beginning their conquest on Dalmasca, and we meet our heroes 2 years thereafter. We're introduced to Vaughn, Princess Ashe, and of course, Balthier and Fran. I'd love to show you this card. This is a commander deck I'm building immediately when this set comes out. And so, of course, as Sky Pirates, they will care about piloting the Straw, going up against, and hopefully winning the game very fast.
Amazing. Now it's time to hear from Stephanie, our art director, once again to tell us about some very important pieces of art.
Very important pieces of art.
So this is a very special story about the incredible Isamu Kamikoku Ryo. The city of Arcades was one of the first images made for Final Fantasy XII. Visually inspiring and dense with details, this piece immerses you in the world of Ivalice.
Walls of Omens. Nice.
This image was used as a promotional ad in a Japanese magazine to get artists excited to work at Square Enix on Final Fantasy XII. There are many employees who are currently at Square Enix because of this painting, and in turn, Isamu made incredible friendships during his time there. It's no exaggeration to say this painting changed lives. It stands out as an example of Isamu's artistic perspective to push the imagination and craft worlds that have never been seen before.
And what's amazing about that piece of art is there is a link between 12 and the next game in the series, because that same artist had a hand in designing what we're about to show you now.
Final Fantasy 13.
ライトニングらしさっていうのをもう一回考えた時に内面にその激しさは秘めているんですけど、外から見ると静かに佇んでるような姿が一番ライトニングらしいのかなっていう。ライトニングって武人なんですよね。侍のような女性なので、普通に立ってても常に剣構えてるんですよ、心の中では。
In her mind. Okay.
マジック・ザ・ギャザリング
In her
とフ
mind.
ァイナル・ファンタジーのコラボは僕自身もすごく想像してなかったコラボレーションなのでマジかって感じでこう
Is this for
そこ
real?
に、僕が書かせてもらえるっていうのがすごい光栄だなって思いました。商品としてのすごい完成度の高さにちょっとびっくりしちゃってよかったなっていうふうに思いますね。頑張って書いてよかったなっていう。
Heck yeah.
Dylan, tell us a little bit about
I
the
low
game,
key,
Final Fantasy
I low
13.
key like
Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy 13.
perhaps is the game that leans most into its science fiction elements as it thrusts us into the artificial world of Cocoon that floats above Grand Pulse. You see, in this world, we have these supernatural entities that are known as the Fall Seed. Though humanity fears them, they seek their protection. And the Fall Seed have the ability to designate Lassie, which are basically prophesized chosen warriors. This game takes a bit of a spin of if that's really a good thing or not. As we all come to find out, Lightning, our protagonist, and her party members have chosen to become these new chosen heroes. And they go on an adventure and a quest to fulfill their focus, which may end up bringing about the end of the world? Don't worry, they are our heroes, though. Let's talk about Lightning and some gameplay from Final Fantasy 13, Zakil.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy 13's primary game mechanic is a mechanic called Stagger.
Yeah.
This mechanic rewards you for exploiting your enemy's weaknesses, and once you trigger the Stagger gauge, you're able to deal additional damage within combat. So it only felt right for Lightning to have a similar ability called Stagger. So let's take a look. She is a 3-mana 3/2 with the ability Stagger. Whenever she deals combat damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. And then she has these small, innocuous kind of buffs, meaning with First Strike and Trample. So if you attack with her and, let's just say, a 1/1 creature, she has the ability to deal combat damage in the First Strike phase, triggering Stagger, then buffing everything else you have on the battlefield, which is going to be quite good in red-white aggressive strategies.
And it is not often that Magic uses a mechanic for just one single card, but that is what has happened here. Gavin, what have you done?
Yeah, this is something very special. This is something that we had to do a lot of talking and a lot of convincing, and it was such a perfect fit, literally a perfect fit for these two characters, Fang and Vanille. So here we are, Fang and Vanille. Now, if you know the story of Final Fantasy 13, these two characters are searching for each other, and they eventually find each other, and they do that well in the game, right? So when Vanille comes into play, you mill some cards, you get someone back, maybe it's Fang. Fang wants to leave the graveyard, and then you get to draw cards. But toward the end of the game, you might know that they fuse into Ragnarok. And so the meld ability here actually allows you to turn the cards over and turn them into Ragnarok. They're both uncommon, so you can do this in drafts. And let me tell you, if you get off Ragnarok, you are going to win. It is a very, very cool moment, and literally the perfect encapsulation of these two characters.
Absolutely amazing. Okay, now we move on to the critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV. Personally, I like to think of myself as the weird adopted uncle of Final Fantasy XIV, so thank you. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about that. Listen, Dylan, this is a game that everyone has an opinion about, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I just have
I love,
three words for all of you out there. Hear, feel, think.
Fucking
Iconic
Hydaelyn.
words spoken by the Mother Crystal, spoken to all of you warriors of light out there. The critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV is often described as a theme park of Final Fantasy history, and I just absolutely
agree.
love that comparison.
100%.
It takes content from all the
I love
previous
playing Final
titles,
Fantasy
it
XIV.
remixes them,
Although this
updates
last
them, and it brings them to a
expansion was
modern
not good.
audience. It introduces you to games, characters, stories from long past, and hopefully inspires you to go try out all of these amazing games yourself. Now, in the game, of course, you are the Warrior of Light. You get to customize your character, pick your job, and embark on a journey where you call the shots. So whether you are going up against the Ascian threat, perhaps, championing Hydaelyn's will, facing off the Garlean Empire, battling through the Dragonsong War, maybe going up against the bloodthirsty Xenos, or becoming the Warrior of Darkness, crying many, many tears at the end of creation, and most recently, enjoying a summer vacation. You are the Warrior of Light, and this is Final Fantasy XIV. You are all emblematic of the very wonderful community that Final Fantasy XIV is known for. Wonderful, friendly, kind, empathetic, and we thank you so much for being here and being a part of this wonderful, wonderful weekend. I can just personally attest to how amazing this game is and how profound it has been on all of us.
Daniel, this is obviously the last of the Commander deck, so I imagine you had to play a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV, didn't you?
Exactly. Unlike Dylan, and sounds like a lot of you, when I was first assigned this project, I had never actually played Final Fantasy XIV. So naturally, over the next month, I put 200 hours in with my best friend from work.
Nice.
Getting
Nice.
all the way to Shadowbringers. I played Dancer and Black Mage for those curious.
Oh, Hildebred.
We had to get Hildebrand Vanderbilt into the set. It was so important to be genuine to the fans because you can play.
See, that is true love. That is the deep cut of deep cuts. Completely side quest, nothing to do with the main game, but it's so iconic. It's so prevalent to the Final Fantasy XIV community and story. Not like as a story as a whole, but like the building blocks of what makes Final Fantasy XIV just so amazing. God, Hildebred, just the Hildebred Chronicle wasn't all that great during what's it called? Not Stormblood, the one previously, Heaven's Ward. Didn't like the Heaven's Ward Hildebred storyline, but then everything past that, just bravo. Good on you for bringing this, like, just this is what they were talking about, where it's like the tier 3, just like the sickos, the people who like just eat the shit, the hard cut. It is a hard cut. A lot of Final Fantasy XIV fans are like, nah, this is not, like, if you have to be a fan of Final Fantasy XIV and know Final Fantasy XIV, but outside of Final Fantasy XIV, you would have no idea who this person is or why his significance in this is so important. So, yeah.
Play the entire
good.
campaign of Final Fantasy XIV and not even see this lovable character. This card itself refers to his first chapter, The Rise and Fall of Gentlemen, where there are plenty of zombies, and Hildebrand is not dead after all. You can find Hildebrand and all the other scions in the Final Fantasy XIV commander deck, led by none other than Y'shtola herself.
Y'shtola.
Where as you cast your non-creature spells with mana value 3 or greater, you're going to drain the table, draw cards, and continue controlling the game. As long as you manage those cooldowns. Enjoy the deck, please.
Amazing. And whilst Y'shtola's right here, I think it's a great time to touch base with another of our celebrity artists talking about their specific version of Y'shtola.
Mogi, yeah.
自分がギャザリングの絵を描けるのっていうのがちょっとびっくりしまして、まあ、今回その両方のプレイヤーの橋渡しになればいいんじゃないかなと思っています。僕割とその油彩風というか厚塗りっていう方で絵を描くことが多かったんですけど、やっぱりそれってギャザリングとかからかなりインスパイアを受けていました。これはテイストとしてはそのファイナルファンタジーのその14のエフェクトの綺麗さとかちょっと目指してデザインさせていただきました。 ヤシュトラは強い意志を持ったキャラクターなので、そこら辺が再現できるようにしたかったっていうところがあって、ちょっと人知を超えたような雰囲気を出せればいいかなっていうところで、少し凛々しい感じの雰囲気にしました。はい。
God bless this fucking set, dude.
Obviously, there are loads of cards still to show you, Zakil. Let's start with that sweet version of Y'shtola.
Yes, so here is main.
Here is, and this is something I want to go back to with the whole pipe dream thing. The biggest thing, the reason why Final Fantasy or why Dragon Ball cannot happen, unfortunately, is because Akira Toriyama has passed. Sadly, Akira Toriyama cannot, like, that's probably the only thing that I could ever want out of a Magic the Gathering collaboration Dragon Ball, is to have a new original art by Akira Toriyama. Him designing a card for the game would be chef's kiss. But because he has passed, he is no longer on this mortal plane. I don't think that to me is why this is like, Ano is just like such a, like, he is like, he's designed every cover of Final Fantasy there has been, right? So that's why Amano is like the GOAT, right? But if Akira Toriyama did like art for Magic the Gathering, that would be almost, I would say that would surpass Amano entirely, just because it's the living legend. It is fucking Akira Toriyama. So that's the only reason why I don't think if the Dragon Ball set came out, we would ultimately be let down by not having a original Akira Toriyama art. We can have like what they're calling like the through the seasons or like through the ages, where they take Akira Toriyama art and showcase it. Maybe they have other people who worked on Dragon Ball like art be a guest artist, but ultimately not having that one Akira Toriyama design specifically for Magic card, never coming out, never coming to fruition. That's the true sadness.
Main set is Y'shtola Ruel. She's a 6-mana 3/5 cat druid that has the ability at the beginning of your end step, blink a creature, and then if it is the first end step, you effectively take an additional end step. So you're able to gain advantage with creatures on the battlefield that have enter the battlefield triggers by blinking them. And then, just like the last Y'shtola card that we showed at the face of the commander deck, also manipulate and use end step triggers to your advantage. So playing the main set Y'shtola within the commander deck Y'shtola deck is probably quite good. And you know, one of my favorite things about Final Fantasy 14 are the summons. What's up?
Yeah, so let's talk about one you all might recognize. Summon Primal Odin. If you've gone up against this in 14, you know you're in for a tough time.
Yes.
Odin likes killing stuff. Let's start with that first chapter. Blows up one of your opponent's creatures. So that's neat. It's the second chapter where things get really gnarly. If you know Odin, you know you do not want to get hit by this attack. It will take you out. You'll take out your whole party. If Odin hits you during a second chapter, you lose the game. Do not get hit by Odin's second chapter. It is bad. If you survive that, if your creatures perhaps block by a little bit of time, you still have to contend with the third chapter, where Odin's owner will draw 2 cards and make each player lose 2 life. Perhaps they'll even draw another Odin. Now, earlier I mentioned that there would be some job select equipment from Final Fantasy 14. So where are all my summoners at? Perfect. Well, here is the Summoner's Grimoire, another job select equipment. So when this comes into play, you make a 1/1 hero and attach it to it. Now, whenever that creature attacks, you get to put a creature from your hand on the battlefield. So it's like a little elvish piper for your longtime Magic fans. But if it is an enchantment card, it enters tapped and attacking. So that enchantment creature like Odin will come in right away. One other tiny thing I want to call out is in front of the equip ability, you'll see what it says there, Abraxas. Well, that is actually the weapon that is shown in the art there. Just a little nod to the different weapons that are used. The Final Fantasy 14 team thought it would be really cool to actually reference the weapons that are in the art for the 14 tied job select equipment. So you'll find that on the equipment in the set.
Much of the major narrative of Final Fantasy XIV is the metaphysical conflict between Hydaelyn and Zodiark. So today we're going to show you one half of that conflict with Zodiark, Umbral God. He is a 5/5 with indestructible god, and when he enters, each player sacrifices half the non-god creatures they control, rounded down. Now that's an interesting story element. If you're a Final Fantasy XIV player, you'll have to tell me if you think that is spot on to the story that Zodiark might be involved in. And here we can see the moment where I wiped every raid I was ever in doing this trial. I could not for the life of me remember this mechanic. I'm so sorry to everyone who was playing me. I was your Gunbreaker main tank, not using my cooldowns correctly.
I know there are people in the audience that are thinking, oh, there's one person from Final Fantasy XIV I'd love to see. Here he is, you thirsty people.
So,
Emmett Silk.
I mentioned before that you might find villains in the commander deck. Well, here's one every Final Fantasy XIV player knows. It's Emmett Silk. Now, the villains in the decks play on a little different axis. Emmett here will cast spells from your graveyard over time because Ascians know their history, but they will still trigger all of the non-creature matters cards in your deck.
Okay, here we go. 14's done. We're now moving on to 15. We are going like a rocket ship. It's again another great example of the way in which Final Fantasy has reinvented itself over the years. Dylan, what's the story?
So in Final Fantasy 15,
I think Final Fantasy 15 doesn't get as much credit as it does. The fact that they kept the title sequence, the art for it for such a long time, the fact that Final Fantasy 15 basically came from Nomura's Final Fantasy 13 Versus, and like that was the only time Nomura technically lost, but we're gonna get a Final Fantasy 13 Versus in Kingdom Hearts with like Zora and like the new Kingdom Hearts. He's definitely force feeding that story of the Amnesia, the town or the city of Amnesia, and like everything that's happening. It's happening in 13 Versus. It's gonna happen in Kingdom Hearts 4, but it evolved from 15, but still, even when Nomura was taken off that, and then Sakaguchi, I think that was his last Final Fantasy before he like tapped out. Like even the title screen, the hidden title like art that came about it, the story of like the Brotherhood and like the crystals and like the poison and everything about that game really is fantastic. The only things that suck about it is like the ambitiousness of the open world of it, like the two Sids, like the obviously like too hot for teacher, like Sydney, and like I think they had like all these grandiose plans for DLC that never came to fruition, and that sucks because it kind of feels like that era of like video games. That was like the beginning of the era of like where video games are now costing way too much fucking money and taking way too much time to build, and like we're now we know that games are just like these monumental like anything that is quote unquote AAA just takes years and almost billions of dollars, like if not billions, like hundreds of millions of dollars to build. And I think that's what like this generation of those type of games, like with like Metal Gear the Phantom Pain, it was an incomplete game because it ran out of money and the publisher didn't want to give extra money to finish it. Same thing with Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 was like this huge undertaking, and it is finished, but there was more that was going to be added, but because of the restraints in the budget and they had to make their money back, they had to cancel certain things. Same thing with like Halo 5 was kind of like a cobbled together, like Halo 5 Guardians. Is it Halo 5 Guardians? Like that is like an incomplete game. Halo 5, right? Yeah, Halo 5 Guardians with like it's open-ended, like kind of crazy in like storyline. Like a lot of the games in like the mid 2010s felt incomplete or felt unfinished because, like I said, we were finally coming to this era of like the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4, where like these games now are just so fucking expensive. Like, so expensive that like now you can't any game that is AAA is going to take years, and it's a big swing. Like, you have to it has to be knocked out of the park, or it's like considered like a commercial failure. Like, great example is like the modern day Tomb Raider. All 3 Tomb Raider games were fantastic, but according to Square and Eidos, when they own Eidos, they were considered commercial failures because they cost a shit ton of money and they broke even. And that's not what you want to do when you buy an Eidos. Like, for them buying a Western developer studio because they wanted to westernize their IPs, that sucks. And like now, like, you can only like Capcom is thriving right now, but they're like suffering from success almost, where it's like they make buco bucks with the Resident Evil series and now with the new Monster Hunter like Wilds. But like at the end of the day, if like Japan loves it, that's all they care about, and that's really sucks for the rest of the world when you cater only to your like Japanese audience. And that's like it's they're succeeding, but like they could definitely do more. They could definitely appeal to a more globalized audience, but they won't because they're suffering from success. And I feel like Capcom is feeling that right now. From Software is definitely feeling, or not. Okay, I take that back. It's not From Software. Bandai Namco is suffering from that right now, where they just have, these big AAA successful games, but they don't iterate them on them too much. They just make them big and release them, and they don't give them like the kind and love for like long form gameplay or expansions or anything to kind of like Armored Core 4, for example, is like a perfect example of like a game that was like a big splash and then that's it. But they made their money. They didn't break the bank making it, but it was just enough to where it was like, oh, we recognize the franchise. It's FromSoft doing it. Armored Core's back. There you go. But like, I don't know. This Final Fantasy 15 is like the biggest indication of like same thing like well, maybe Mass Effect 3 came out way earlier before the 2010s era, but like Mass Effect Andromeda, right? That was like kind of in like the same bucket where it's like it just kind of felt like a nothing burger, but it was complete, but it was like nothing special.
We see this dramatic tale of epic war, political conspiracies, ancient magic, opposing kings, but ultimately it puts the story of friendship and camaraderie center stage. We follow Prince Noctis and his very best of friends, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladiolus, on a road trip across the modern fantasy world of Eos. And embroiled in this conflict, we are going to go up against many cool monsters, cinematic boss battles, epic duels, but one of the biggest things that Final Fantasy 15 left on me was just the very sense of time and pace. The slow, quiet moments you spend with your friends, pulling pranks at each other, making food at camp, discovering new recipes, listening to music while you're driving around. It does remind me a little bit of the four of us and how we kind of made this set, so I kind of have a soft spot for this. Excuse me if I start crying.
I'm also there as well. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's look at some cards, please. Zakiel, take us through it.
Noctis. Yeah, so Noctis is the main character from Final Fantasy 15, and his most unique mechanical ability is called Armiger, which allows him to wield the 13 royal weapons that come from his lineage that are depicted in his artwork. So his ability allows you to cast artifact spells from the graveyard as a nod to the Armiger ability. And also, take a look at this beautiful borderless artwork.
Let's look at Arden.
But of course, opposed to Noctis is the game's antagonist, Arden. And here we see celebrity artist Roberto Ferrari has captured his signature grin and his powers over the Star Scourge. And we actually see that we use that as a flavor word because while you have Arden in play, you too will be making your own army of demons to take over the world.
Okay, that's Final Fantasy 15 done. We're finally here, guys. Final Fantasy 16 has arrived. I don't remember any of it. Dylan, what happened?
So
I
just
don't
to catch you up
remember
to speed, Ben, I don't know if you've heard of this game, but this takes place at Valisthea. It is the latest entry in the mainline Final Fantasy series, and it is one of the most dark and mature titles the franchise has seen thus far. It tells this gritty and grim tale of magic and explores the notions of free will. We are introduced to our protagonist, Clive Rossfield, when he is but a young
Live
boy.
Rossfield.
And we watch him grow over
Clive
decades of in-game
Rossfield.
story as he turns into the epic hero who shall deny fate itself. And as we all know in this game, the summons are of paramount importance because Clive is someone known as a dominant, that who harbors the
dominant.
ability of the summons, the icons inside of them. And in the game, our heroes turn directly into their summons. I wonder if that sparked any good design ideas?
Well, it certainly did. And this is actually quite an interesting story because, well, we've been working on the set for 4 years. We said that earlier. Well, as we all know, this game came out 2 years ago. So it came out during the development process of the set. So we actually had a weekend when the game came out, and we just all started playing and trying to figure out, okay, what could go in? What could go in? This card, this card, this card. It was a great time.
Massive call out. Zakiel was always 2 hours ahead of me and Daniel, and we were like nonstop playing. My wife is here. She can confirm I was not sleeping at all. And somehow he was always ahead of me. I have no idea how you were just so... It was a wild weekend. Our group chat exploded with like 1,000 messages every single night. Like, this is an awesome concept. This could be a card.
You have to get this character in there, right?
I totally missed that quest. I have to go do it, so...
Okay, guys, be quiet. I want to talk now.
I'm
Okay.
going to talk now.
God, we get it. You played the game. I was in it.
Yeah.
I was in it.
Listen.
And so...
Listen, I think it's time that we previewed some cards, and I know what you all want to see, but first let's see a character that is incredibly important to Clive in this story.
Yes, so this is Jill, Shiva's dominant. This card shows off all of her icy powers. So on Jill's
hold
side,
on.
she comes in and
Really?
unsummons a creature. Then when she transforms into Shiva, she will make one of your creatures unblockable twice. Then she will
Twice.
tap all of your opponent's lands. They cannot
Twice.
stop you. And then unlike other summons that go away, she goes back to Jill, re-triggering that Enter's ability to unsummon and continue using those icy powers.
Okay, now this is the moment you're all waiting for. This
Okay.
is the moment that I've been waiting for 2 hours. You want to see the Clive card?
Here it comes. I saw this.
I have been sweating under that thing for 2 hours. For this exact moment. Let's see it on the screen.
So here we have,
There we go.
to be clear, that is the correct reaction. Yes. So here we have
Ifrit's
Clive and
dominant.
Ifrit. We knew we needed an epic
Ifrit.
card, and so that's exactly what we
Ifrit,
made.
come
On the
to
front
me.
side, Clive, of course, has Devotion to Red. Of course, it is the only Devotion card in the main set, but it fits his character so well. Who else would be so devoted to Red as Ifrit's dominant? Then, when you're ready, perhaps the turn after you play him, you can pay 6 mana, flip him over, he fights a creature right away. Bam! Ifrit shows up. Time for that epic boss battle. Then, you get some mana the next turn. A turn after that, he flips back to Clive if your opponent's even still alive by.
I'm only a little sad that Clive is mono red because I wanted to build a Final Fantasy 16 deck, but I'm gonna have to build like mono red. But hold on. What is they just announced it? If you go to PAX Vegas, or not PAX, Magic Con Vegas, Final Fantasy. They just announced the Torgal. Torgal's white. So I could essentially make a white-red card. I could make a white-red commander with Torgal. And yeah, that would be the what's it called? That would be the rub, I guess. Would be I can make a white-red commander deck with Torgal as his partner. But I still can't put Shiva. But I can put white cards. It wouldn't be just a solid mono. It wouldn't be a solid mono red deck. It would be a white red deck. So I have to like take that into account. That could be something that I can build. At least I can build upon. I could build like a solid with 2 colors. I feel like I could build depending on how many 16 cards there are. Obviously, Shiva is blue, unfortunately, so I can't put Shiva into that deck. So it sucks. And this is probably the only version of Clive. I don't think there's going to be multiple versions of Clive. Like there's Cloud or Tifa or Yuna or Titus or Yustola or all the other
do the
shit.
whole discard your hand and drop again before preparing to turn him back into a free. So, pretty powerful combination of abilities here. Wouldn't you say, Ben?
I would say he's very cool. I would say he's the best one.
I would say he's the best one.
No, don't take my word for it. Okay, guys, that's it. We have done 16 mainline games, but I know, are you excited for this? Zakil, when can we get our hands on all this Final Fantasy goodness?
Yeah, so Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy releases globally on June 13th with pre-releases starting on June 6th. Now, if you're a Final Fantasy fan who has never played Magic before, I suggest you start with the starter kit, which comes with 2 60-card decks that are pre-constructed along with a learn-to-play booklet and digital download codes to play on Magic Arena. We also have our Play Booster, which includes all of the cards that we previewed today, everything that is standard legal, as well as the Final Fantasy Through the Ages bonus sheet. Now, the additional products that we have here, as Daniel mentioned, are the 4 commander decks that are focused on individual games, 6, 7, 10, and 14. You can relive these games if you played them before or learn about them if you never have. They're some of our favorites, and we think that they're such an amazing product. We also have our collector SKUs in the collector commander decks, which are the same mechanical identity of those commander decks, just available in 100% foil, as well as our collector boosters, which include all of the mechanical cards from the main set, many from the commander decks, and the awesome, amazing treatments such as the Golden Chocobo. Here's our complete product suite, including the...
So, what I have pre-ordered is I have all 4 commander decks collectors. I have the collector, or I have the gift bundle. I have a collector booster, and I have a play booster box. I have 2 boxes. I might get the normal bundle because it comes with a different Final Fantasy or a Final Fantasy dice. But I think I can pick that up way later because I see that shit like at Walmart or at Target. It's the extra goodie, the gift bundle, that is probably going to be harder because it has that Final Fantasy 15 look to it as well. Sorry, not 15, 16 look, I should say. I canceled my pre-order on the base commander decks because I don't need 2 of the same set of commanders. Although now that like there's like the arcane signets and the command towers and stuff. If I want to build like if I want to build like what's it called deck? A Clive Rossfield deck or a Lightning deck, because those are not commanders. I would have to do that. But when I'm thinking about it, it's like Clive and Lightning are the same color if I had Torgal as a partner. So I think I might just do like a red-white offshoot of other Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 16 and possibly Final Fantasy 15 as well. Or I might make like a separate Final Fantasy 15 deck with Noctis, but that's just like the what's it called colors, the blue, white, black, or what was it his colors were. But either way,
Beautiful.
And then I'm gonna go to every fucking pre-release I could get my hands on. I'm gonna go to every fucking pre-release event.
Gift bundle featuring Ifrit and Bahamut from Final Fantasy 16. And again, this set releases globally on June 13th with a variety of play events starting then, running through the remainder of that month, and MagicCon Vegas, along with Pro Tour, Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy on the weekend of June 20th.
June 20th.
And of course, if you're a digital gamer, Final Fantasy is also coming to Magic the Gathering Arena with 3 different bundles you can pick up. The first, of course, is the pack bundle. You might be wondering, Gavin, why is it called the pack bundle? Well, great news. It comes with 50 booster packs, 5 golden packs. You get this cool VV sleeve, the VV version, all kinds of awesome stuff going on there. Okay. Let's go on to the next bundle called the Pass Bundle. You might be wondering, why is this called the Pass Bundle? Well, this comes with Clive, comes with Noctis, comes with cool sleeves for both of them, and you get access to the Mastery Pass. Now, the Mastery Pass will let you unlock those awesome chocobos for Jason Tronder we saw earlier. You get a regular chocobo at level 1, a Jace chocobo at level 25, and the Tronder chocobo at level 50. And then finally, we've got the Play Bundle. You can imagine why it's called that. You get tons of tokens to go play in drafts. Plus, you get Kefka, Terra, some accoutrement for them, and my personal favorite, the Moogle Companion that can hang out with you in a game. And who doesn't want a Moogle hanging out with them? You can go pre-order that on Magic the Gathering Arena right now.
Amazing. So let's moving on. Let's get you even more hyped than you are already with this amazing trailer.
Damn. Opening it up with 16.
I've been waiting for this.
Waiting for this.
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Final Fantasy is coming to Magic the Gathering.
Jesus fucking Christ. Come to me, Ifrit! What? What? What?
Draw swords.
The chosen
Cast spells. Play heroes and villains from all 16 core games.
Army of one.
People are depending on me.
Years I've waited for this chance.
It's time to shape your story.
Goddamn.
Shall we?
June 13th. Man.
You know what? You know what? I think there's still some people who might be on the fence about tucking into this, right?
Really?
If there are, let's see if Stephanie can persuade those who might not want to get involved.
Okay.
All right, folks. When you think of the essential ingredients of what makes Final Fantasy, what comes to mind? You've got your classics, your chocobos, summons, crystals. We're fans, we know all this. But there's one more thing that has been in nearly every game of the Final Fantasy series that we haven't quite talked about yet. Or should I say someone? It's Cid. Better yet, Cids. Because why settle for just one?
Oh my God.
Okay, folks, this is how we're going to do it. Remember when I split the room up in 2? That went well, didn't it? We're doing it again. Okay, this side of the room, I'm going to say a number. This side of the room, we're going to shout one word and one word only. And what word's that going to be? You know it. We're going to start with 2. Okay? Because that's when he first appeared. So it'll go something like this. We'll say a number, it'll start with 2 like this. Say 2 with me. 2. Okay? You ready? Obviously, you're not going to say 2 the whole time. That would be insane. Okay? Don't. I think there's quite a few people watching at home. They're going to be so annoyed. We've just stayed on 2 for hours. Okay. Are you ready with me? Here we go. 2. 2. 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, 6.
Oh my God. And he's an uncommon too. Damn. That's so fucking cool.
It has been absolutely awesome to spend time with you. I hope you've had fun. I hope you are going to spend lots of money on this.
Yeah. Sadly.
Please do.
Very
Thank
sadly,
you for coming.
I will.
I want to thank the incredible panel. Gavin, Zakil, Daniel, Dylan, Stephanie. I've been your host, Ben Starr. You've been amazing. Thank you for coming.
Damn. Wow. Yeah, so like I said, there are some things I got teary-eyed, and I got hit with the what's it called? I got hit with the emotional, the feels, as it were. And yeah, it already came to me already, so it just, it was already kind of boiled some stuff. So you're not gonna get like the genuine reaction out of me, because like like things that kind of popped in. I cried my fucking eyes out when Kefka. I couldn't stop crying. The event that I was at when I was working, I literally had to go like step outside into like a private corner, and I just fucking could not stop crying. I really wish I would have live streamed it. I wish I would have saved that moment for you guys on YouTube. But just the Amano artwork, and it's gonna be so expensive. I hope I pull it out of my collector booster. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we're gonna go look at the Commander deck list. And since I'm playing the Final Fantasy 6 stuff, we're gonna look at the Final Fantasy 6. So we already know Terra, that she's the main commander. Now, and the alt commander, we also got the which is kind of fitting. I was actually like, oh yeah, there, because in the first half of the game you play like Terra's kind of the main character, but then in the World of Ruin, I gotta apologize to you guys real quick. So my whole life, I've been calling this character Celeste, but her, like I was calling Lockie for my whole life as well.
Celes.
But her real name is Celes, and it just feels foreign to me. It doesn't feel real. Celes, but that is her name, is Celes. And it took me a long time to kind of reconfigure to calling Lockie Locke, because the E is silent. So Celes, it's going to take some time to adjust to Celes. So I do apologize if I say Celeste. It's Celes. Celeste. Celes. But the fact that like those are the two commander cards, and the fact that she's the main character through the second half of the game is kind of cool. All right. So Terra, Celes, Cyan. Is there a way to... Vengeful Samurai. Let me see if I can make this bigger for you guys. Cyan, Vengeful Samurai. 6, oh my god, 7 casting costs? Holy shit. This spell costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. Double Strike. When one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on Cyan. Interesting. I get the concept. I get the vibe, because his whole kingdom got killed by poison. But I dig it. Shoutouts to Magic. They get the win. This is automatically GOAT tier status. This is the GOAT right here. General fucking Leo. When General Leo enters, return up to 1 target creature with mana 3 or less from the graveyard onto the battlefield. Then put a +1/+1 counter General Leo for each creature you control. You're a human being before you were a soldier. Damn. Fuck, that's so good. Inspector. Oh my god, the dog. The dog. Legendary creature dog menace. Assassins you control have menace. Whenever you attack with one or more legendary creatures, you may pay 2 colorless them back. If you do, return this card from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Nice. Shadow. Nice. Death touch. Throw. Oh, it has throw. He actually has the throw ability. Whenever Shadow deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice another non-land permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards, and each opponent loses life equal to the mana value of the sacrifice permanent. Wow. Okay. Shout outs once again. Goat tier status. This is a deep cut. This is a level 3 deep cut, like they said. The deep cutness. Fucking Siegfried, famed swordsman. Almost one of those, like, should have been part of the cast, but never quite made it to the cast. Possibly, if there's a remake, we might actually see him come to be. Maybe he was a secret character alongside General Leo. Human Warrior Rogue. Menace. When Siegfried enters, mill 3 cards, then put X 1+1 counters on it. On Siegfried, when X is twice the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Okay. Gao. Rage. Whenever attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, nice. At the beginning of each instep, if a card left in your graveyard, if a card left your graveyard, Gao deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Go-Go, also good deep cut. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, you may have Go-Go become a copy of another target creature you control until the end of turn, except its name is Go-Go Mysterious Mime. If you do Go-Go and that creature each get +2/+0 and gain haste until the end of turn and attacks this turn if able. Okay. 7! Master Monk. Man, he's a 5. He has Blitz. Okay, double strike, 4/3. Blitz, 2 colors, 2 red. Discard a card. If you cast this spell for its Blitz cost, it gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of its end step. You may cast this card from your graveyard using the Blitz ability. God damn! Okay. Oh, they combined Stargo and Realm together. Dang, that's sad. Oh well. It is what it is. Sketch and Lore. 2 red, or 2 colors, 1 red. Target opponent exiles card from the top of their library until they exile an instant, sorcery, or creature card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice a creature. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so the Sketch and Lore, I get it. It's because Drago is a blue mage. Realm can sketch. So exiling your opponent's, or milling your opponent's deck and casting their opponent or their abilities is like kind of the flavor. Exile an instant or sorceries from each graveyard. Wow, each graveyard, not just your graveyard. Add a red for each lore counter on this saga. You may cast an instant sorcery card, exile this from the saga. The mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. It's a 3/3 Saga Drake. Umaro, Raging Yeti. Trample at the beginning combat. On your turn, you may choose one at random because you actually don't have any control over him. He is random, and then even if you give him the Blizzard Orb and the Berserk Ring, he gets new abilities, but you still can't control him. Another creature you control gets +3/+0 and gains trample in your turn. Discard your hand and then draw 4 cards. Oro deals 5 damage to any target. I wonder how that... There's going to definitely have to be a rules on like what target... any target. So that means including you. Baron, the Returnal Leader. Okay. Human Cleric Rebel. Prey. Each turn... once during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere other than the battlefield this turn. Whenever you attack, you may pay 1 and discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Okay. Edgar! Man, the fact that he doesn't, like... The fact that it's like these are the 3 colors and then everybody else is either black, followed red, and these are like the mono or like the dual colors, only dual, not triple. You're really hamstringing. So it's either Celeste or you really are like stuck with those 2 for this deck. Master Machinist. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact spell from your graveyard. So a lot of graveyard manipulation, and that's kind of like what they said, right? Is like the World of Ruin. Everything's gone to shit. Everything's gone down. And you're basically doing a bunch of graveyard manipulation with this deck. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact from your graveyard. If you cast a spell this way, that artifact enters tapped. Fools. Whenever Edgar attacks, it gets +X+0 to end turn, where X is the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. Nice. Kefka Dancing Mad. During your turn, Kefka has Indestructible. At the beginning of your end step, exile a card at random from each opponent's graveyard. You may cast any number of spells from among cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. Then each player who owns a spell you cast this way loses life equal to its mana. So not only do you cast a spell randomly from their graveyard, but they take damage equal to the mana value that was casted without paying their mana cost. That is so sick. Okay, Lock. Treasure Hunter. You're a thief. No, it's Treasure Hunter. Lock cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power. Okay. Human Rogue. Too bad he's not a ninja. And actually, a Shadow, an assassin. Damn, he's not even a ninja. He's an assassin, which makes sense. Mug. Whenever Lock attacks, each player mills a card. If a land card was milled this way, create a treasure token. Until the end of the turn, you may cast a spell from among those cards. Wow, that is so good. Holy moly, that is so fucking good. Mog, Moogle Warrior. Okay. Lifelink. Dance. He's a 1/2, cost 3. Dance. At the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. Each player who discarded a card this way draws a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, you create a 1/2 white Moogle creature token with lifelink. If it was a non-creature card, was discarded this way, put a +1/+1 counter on each Mog you control. Oh my god, that's so sick. Holy moly. Okay. Setzer. Wandering Gambler. Human Rogue Pilot. When Setzer enters, create the Blackjack with a legendary 3/3 colorless vehicle artifact token with flying and crew 2. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage, a player flips a coin. Whenever you win a coin flip, create 2 tap treasure tokens. Nice. That's actually sick. Warring Triad. God. You know, for a legendary artifact creature god, the fact that it's only 3, there's got to be something weird about this. As long as there are fewer than 8 cards in the graveyard, the Warring Triad isn't a creature. As long as there are fewer than 8 cards in your graveyard. Okay. Mill a card, target player adds 1 mana of any color. Wow, okay. Interesting. Okay, Sun Titan. Oh, it's Hex Soul. Rex Soul is Sun Titan? That's weird. Archfiend of Depravity is that. Oh, what is that? Oh, what is that creature in? Oh god, it's in Final Fantasy VI. I can't remember. What's the creature that you fly around? Oh god, what is it called? I'm just like blanking. Airship Fight. World of Ruin. Doomgaze or Death Gaze. Or no, Death Gaze known as Doomgaze. So it's Doomgaze or Death Gaze, depending on, I guess, the version they said it looks like. Okay. So Archfiend of Depravity is Doomgaze. Oh, that's from the from the Monster Island that you do Strago's ability. Combusted Gear Hulk. Oh, that's the Ultima weapon, or the not Ultima weapon, but the Ultima mech suit. Layer of the Hatebringer. Okay. Rune Grinder. Okay. Cool. Priest of the Fellright. Oh, that's the Cult of Kefka. Nice. That's the Magitech suit. Oh my god. Solemn Sanctuarium. Oh my god, it's the mecha. It's the suit. That's kind of cool. Angel of Ruins. Okay, that's the part of the Kefka Tower, or Tower of Kefka. Palace Jailer. Oh, that's it's from Figaro. That's cool. Morbid Opportunist. Okay, that's from the Zozo. Pitless Plunderer. That's also from Zozo. Wow, two creatures from Zozo. Oh, actually, take that back. I think that's from the Morbid Opportunist. Oh no, Zozo Resonant. I was right. I was thinking that could have been the Morbid Opportunist. Could have been from the place where you get all the paintings, and it was in the when you're in not in the opera house, but when you're in the secret room behind the paintings when you're trying to rescue Realm. But yeah, it's the Zozo Residence. Death. Okay. Anger. Oh my god. That's cool. That's the fucking all the fire orbs coming to life. Meteor Golem. Okay, just another Magitech armor. Milken. Okay, that's part of the Magitech factory. Let's see. Esper to Magicite. Ooh, nice. It's when Kefka destroys everybody in the village. Exile each opponent's graveyard. When you do, choose up to one target creature exiled this way. Create a token of that create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an artifact and loses all other types. Come to me, my Magitech pretties. Come and help me build the Magitech Empire of Kefka. Let's see. Bedeviled. Oh, that's when the airship falls apart. That's crazy. On that day, the world was changed forever. Man. Oh, that's Locke. Locke's trying to reach out for... What's her name? It's not Celeste. Celeste? Laughing Mad. As an additional cost, discard a card. Draw 2 cards. It has a flashback cost of 4. Okay. Big score. As additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card. Draw 2 cards and then create 2 treasure tokens. Okay. Oh, that's when he finds the cracked Phoenix Magitech, but it's cracked and destroyed. Tackling Doom. Oh, that's Emperor Gestalt. Deals 2 damage to each opponent. Oh, man, that was from the... Oh, no, it's not Rakdos. Because it's white. So that's a unique spell. No hard feelings now. I'm just going to use this power to unleash... You've unleashed to put you to sleep. Yeah. And then Mortify. Yeah. Okay, sorcery. Rejoin the fight. Mill 3 cards, then starting with the next opponent's turn. Each opponent chooses a creature card in your graveyard that hasn't been chosen. Return each card chosen this way to the battlefield under your control. Nice. That's when oh, and it's the right party too. When Celeste and Sabin in the World of Ruin are taking on Mobo in the village that's all a bunch of kids now. That's like lore accurate. Snort. Each player may discard their hand and draw 5 cards. Then snort those 5 damage to each opponent who discard their hand this way. Flash. And it has a flash. Let's go. Fucking let's go. Flashback. Let's fucking go. Okay. That's fucking tight. That's tight. Ooh, Tragic Arrogance. Oh, when Kefka dies. For each player You choose from among the permanents that player controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker. That each player sacrifices all other non-land. Oh my god, that is insane. Okay, reanimate. It's reanimate. Nothing too crazy. Oh, he's using the world about to learn the meaning of fear. Rise of the Dark Realm. Is that 9? Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. That's busted. That's so good. You can't destroy everything. People will always have dreams. Nice. Legion to Ashes. Exile non-target permanent. Same name. Ruinous Ultimatum. 2, 5, 7. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. This little helm has too much boring and not enough burning. Torch everything. Night Whisperer. Draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life. Oh, that sucks. He's reaching out for his family. It's Shadow. It's the lore. This can be completely ignored if you don't have Shadow in your party and he has the nightmares about how he actually became Shadow. Return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Threshold. Return that card from your graveyard to the battlefield instead if 7 or more cards are in your graveyard. Oh, Stitch Together, man. That's such a good... Okay, 37 lands. Battleforge. Hello, that's Final Fantasy 7. Okay. I guess there's going to be... I guess they're not all going to be unique. Final Fantasy 6? Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 6. Oh, it's the it's the Phantom Forest. Yeah, the Elder. Final Fantasy 7. Okay. High Market land. Okay, where is the town? Are they gonna put a town in here? Swamp Mountain. Okay. Sunscorch, Ash Baron, Demolition Field, Evolving Wilds, Geomagic Bog, Nomad, Color Identity. Ooh, a Rogue's Passage. Nice. What's Rogue Passage from? From 6, and it's Narsh. Well, yeah, it's Narsh. Sacred Peaks. Oh my God, it's the floating continent. That's awesome. Sunlit Marsh. Command Tower. Oh, it's Kefka's Tower. Nice. Plains, swamps, and mountains. And then the tokens are 4 Moogle tokens, 4 treasure, the Blackjack, the Monarch Helper. Oh yeah, but wait. Who becomes Monarch? Edgar? Noble? No. Is it Seven? No. Is there a card that I didn't see that was that gives you Monarch? Oh, right there. It's the Palace Jailer. Whenever this card create, you become the Monarch. Okay. That's cool. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. When does... Wait. They become Monarch? And then I was like, damn, right there. When this creature enters, exile target creature an opponent controls until the opponent becomes the Monarch. Okay. Okay. That's cool. And then in fashion, it's the dual seats, man. It's for Figaro. For Figaro! And the song that we're listening to is for Figaro! For Figaro! God bless it. God bless it. Okay. I actually want to look at Final Fantasy 10. I want to look at 10 first. Before we go on to 7. So, do I have 10 music? I don't think I have 10 music. I'm gonna have to rectify that. I guess we are gonna listen to the one song that I was like playing. By the way, thank you everybody for hanging out with me this late ass evening. I don't know how much I gotta wake up kind of early. It's already 2 a.m. I think I might make this like a two-parter. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this a two-parter. I'm gonna look at the Final Fantasy X cards, and then maybe tomorrow we'll look at more of the mechanics, and then go over more of the Final Fantasy stuff, and then we might play some Final Fantasy 14 because I gotta play some catch-up. I think that's just gonna be the plan. So indulge me for this last hour or this last like couple minutes as we look at Final Fantasy X stuff.
Oh wait, shoot.
We already looked at that. Okay, let's look at the. Let's see. Auron. This is my story. This isn't your story. This is my story. Vigilant, Shooting Star. Whenever Auron attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When you do, exile target creature defending player controls with. Wait. That is. Okay, that's like a mouthful. When Auron attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When you do, exile target creature defending player controls with power less than Auron's power until Auron leaves the battlefield. Oh, yes, he's shooting. Yeah, he knocks him out. Okay. Chocobo Knights. Whenever you attack. Oh, the fact that they're not birds, that kind of sucks. That they're not birds. They're a human knight, but they're not birds. But even though it has chocobos in them. Whenever you attack creatures you control with counters on it, gain double strike until the end turn. Okay. Gatsun Lazu, human soldiers. When enters, you may choose target creature you control. If you deal damage to that creature this turn, prevent that damage and put that many +1/+1 counters on it. Wow. Oh, because of Flash, yeah. Oh yeah, the father. Spirit Cleric. At the beginning of each end step, you may put a counter on a creature this turn. Investigate. Create a clue token with an artifact +2 sacrifice token. Draw a card. Okay. The Summon. Exxon. Arrow Spark. Exile a target creature and opponent controls until this saga leaves the battlefield. Flip +1/+1 counter. Up to 2 target creatures you control, you gain 2 life. Nice. First strike 3/3. Okay. Yojimbo. The shout out to Shadow in Final Fantasy X. Exile target artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature on opponent controls. Until the end of your next turn, creatures cannot attack you unless their control pays 2 for each of those creatures. Yeah, so it's like the propaganda. It's the propaganda for 2 turns. Nice. Create X treasure tokens where X is the number of opponents who controls a creature with 4 or greater power. Nice. Saga Samurai, 5/5 vigilance. Nice. Lulu. Okay, Stern Guardian. Whenever an opponent attacks, you may choose target creature attacking you. Put a stun counter on it. Proliferate. Wow, she can proliferate. This fucking asshole. This stupid fucking Albed. Like, hey, we're about to like die on the airship. You sure you want to sell stuff to me? You could just give it to me for free. Nah, we'll sell it. Remove a counter from a non-land permanent you control. Draw a card. Okay. Wow, that sucks. A non-land permanent. So you literally remove counters in order to draw a card because he's taking resources away from you. That's what a dick. Riku, nice. Human Artificer. She's not a thief? Human Thief Artificer? Oh, she has steel though. Whenever she does create grenades and alchemy, so I guess she would be more of an artificer than a thief. It's whatever. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a creature, until the end of turn, that creature cannot be blocked by creatures. Ooh, that's thick. That's actually pretty nasty. So if let's say if Titus gets a +1/+1 counter, one or more counters on until the end of turn, that creature cannot be blocked by creatures your opponent. Wait, that creature cannot be blocked by creatures your opponent controls. Yeah, so basically it's like kind of a rogue passage or unblockable or like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Deal 1 tap. Move a counter from a target creature an opponent controls onto a creature you control. Only activate the sorcery. Nice. So she steals a counter. That's pretty cool. Veilvor, Sonic Wing. Each opponent chooses a creature with the greatest mana value among creatures they do. Oh, return to a creature's hand. Nice. Tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter in it. Nice. Okay, that's pretty cool. Maester Seymour. He should be undead. Oh, he is monstrous. Okay. He is monstrous because he is undead. He is choosing not to pass on. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 number +1 counter equal to Maester power on another creature you control. 3/2 monstrous X. Oh, what the hell? Why did my thing blow? Why did you close out, my dude? Hold on. Final Fantasy 10. Okay. Mega Sisters. Fucking Mega Sisters. Had to face them in fucking Endwalker. Choose one at random. Wow, it's all random. Put 3/1/1 counters on target creature. Defend, put a shield counter on target creature. You gain 3 life. Fight. This creature fights up to 1 target creature opponent controls. Okay. That kind of sucks. Seymour's Butler. Each other non-token creature you control enters with additional +1. Okay. Each other non-token creature you control enters with an additional +1 counter on it. 1, proliferate X times, where X is the number of non-token creatures you control that have entered this turn. Wow. That is sick. Okay. Kimahri. Cat Warrior. Vigilance. Rondo Rage. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, +1 counter on Kimahri and tap target creature on opponent's control. Then you may have Kimahri become a copy of that creature, except its name is Kimahri Vigilant Guardian and it has Vigilance and this ability. Wow. The Yevon Acolyte. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. If its power is less than Jan's power, otherwise put a +1/+1 counter on her. Wow. Din. Unending Cataclysm. Wow, that's 7. Leviathan Avatar. Flying creatures. As Sin enters, remove all counters from any number of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Then enters with X +1 counters on it, where X is twice the number of counters removed this way. Ugh. Remove all. It says remove all counters from any number of. Oh, is it just yours or anyone's? Or, yeah, X. When Sin dies, put its counters on target creature you control, and shuffle this card into the owner's library. Fuck, that is... Waka. Devoted Guardian. Reach, Trample. Associate have Reach. Don't know why you have Trample, though. Whenever Waka deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target artifact that player controls and Blitzball Captain. At the beginning of your end step, if the counter was put on Waka this turn, put a +1/+1 on each creature you control. Wow, that is fuck. He is the Mondo support. He is definitely the Guardian's Guardian. He's definitely like, yo, I destroy shit and put +1 counter on me, but I put a +1/+1 counter on you as well. God, so good. That really kind of like suits him. Scholar of New Horizon, Sunscorch Radiant, Sulker, Bane of Progress, Forgotten Ancient, Generous Pardon, Garrus Sage, Incubated Druid, Rampant Rejuvenator, Timeless Tracker, Alter Ego. Phantom, yeah. Phenom Mage, Walking Ballista. Grateful Appreciation. Whenever a creature does combat damage to a player or planeswalker, proliferate. Dust Crawler. Okay, let's see. Summoner Sending. Enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature card from a graveyard. If you do, put a a 1/1 white spirit token with flying. Put a +1/+1 counter on it if the exile card is menu of 4 or higher. Fear Grid. Nice. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Unlock ability. Creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter have reach and trample. Nice. Okay. Resourceful Defense. Whenever a permanent you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on target permanent you control. 5. Move any number of counters from target permanent you control onto a second target permanent you control. Nice. Forever Together. Whenever this enchantment enters support 2, put a +1/+1 on each of the 2 target creatures. 1. Choose target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to its owner's hand. Wow. Oh, that's the Exhausted Tide. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. Nice. Flying, Fight Rigging, Hideaway 5, Hardened Scales, Path of Discovery. Whenever a creature you control enters, it explores. Nice. Bread for the Hunt. Okay. Blitzball Stadium. Let's fucking go. When this artifact enters support X, put +1/+1 counter for up to X target creatures. Go for the goal. 3 and tap. Until the end of turn, target creature gains whenever this character does combat damage to a player. Draw a card for each kind of counter on it, and it cannot be blocked. Wow. Dude, okay, obviously Arcane Signet, nice. Got the Titus Chain, Everflowing Chalice, Soul Ring, nice. It's the fucking save. It's the memory core. Oh my god. I fucking love this fucking set, dude. And then Sorcery, Eunice Decision. Choose 1, continue the pilgrimage, sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card. Then you may put a creature card or land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Find another way. Return one or two target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Collective Effort. Oh my god, it's like the best scene in the game. Escalate, tap an untapped creature you control. Pay this cost for each mode chosen beyond the first. Choose 1 or more. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy target enchantment. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Nice. Damning Verdict. Destroy all creatures with no counters on them. What the fuck? Oh my god. Fare fucking well. I knew it was gonna be here. Choose 1 or more. Exile all artifacts, all creatures, all enchantments, all graveyards. Stay with me until the end, please. Oh, all Zanarkand and my boy. Promise of Loyalty. Okay. That's the iconic opening scene. Each player puts a bow counter on a creature they control and sacrifices the rest. Each of those creatures cannot attack you. Each of those creatures cannot attack you or planeswalker you control for as long as it has a vow counter on it. Listen to my story. This may be our last chance. Nice. Farseek. Okay. That's cool. 3 visits. Nice. And then shuffle. Nice. And then lands. Let's see. Bushland. Exotic Orchard. So I don't think any of the towns are going to be in this set. So they're probably, that they even said it was going to be Command Tower. And of course it's Zanarkand. So good. Okay, what do we got? We got spirit tokens that flip into squids. We got treasure tokens that flips into clues. And that's it. Oh wow, that's it. Only spirits. squids and treasures and clues. And 4 punch-out counters. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Man. Okay. So like I mentioned before, this is probably part 1. We'll probably do part 2 tomorrow. God, I am a fucking fiend. I kind of want to spend more money on these cards. I want to buy more collector boosters. But what I might end up doing is I might just end up buying singles. But dude, I can already feel that the singles are going to be grossly inflated with this set, man. I can feel it in my loins. I can feel it in my fucking loins that this is going to be such a sought after set. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to be sold out everywhere. There's no way like you're going to find more. The reprints are going to be sold out. It's just going to be I just got to buy as much as I humanly can right now. Oh boy. What the fuck, man? All right. But that will be for another day. Thank you so much, everybody that hung out with me this Monday night. I don't usually stream on Mondays, but I couldn't stream on Saturday when they did the PAX panel. And Sunday, of course, was Mother's Day, so I didn't want to take that away from y'all. But this has been so fantastic. I fucking love Final Fantasy. Thank you all, everybody who stopped in on the Twitch chat, everybody who stopped in on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. If you're watching later on YouTube, leave a comment what your favorite Final Fantasy like series is, and probably what card you want to see. We'll probably, like I said, we'll probably see more cards throughout the coming days because the ambassadors are releasing cards. Because I guess the ambassadors already have the whole set and have a handful of cards already, so fuck me for not getting in on the ambassador set. I literally sent my email in yesterday, but you know, c'est la vie. C'est la vie. It is what it is. Anyways, I had a great time live streaming with you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with more Final Fantasy MTG goodness, and probably play some Final Fantasy 14 because we got to play some catch up. But until next time, thank you so much. Take care. Be good to one another. And like always, peace. Forever.